going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ace Podcast, where we talk all things art, culture, and entertainment, but more specifically, pop culture entertainment. I'm your regular host, Will the Greatest. In the absence of Aaron with two A's, who is off preparing for the Black Panther 2 premiere that he gets to go to and interviews that he gets to have. Instead, we have two co-hosts, two of Luke's. Of Luke A. Hello, Luke A.
It's been a while. Hey, hello. I'm talking. Me. I'm Luke A. You're Luke B. Quiet. Anyway, hi everybody.
And we have other Luke. Hello, other Luke. Bravo, Luke.
Yeah, I guess I'm Luke B. Hi.
Luke Alpha and Luke Based.
Well, that was a good way to
you saved it.
Thank you very much. I will take based.
But how are y'all doing?
I guess.
How are y'all doing this fine evening? We haven't spoken in like verbally in some time. You know, while we converse semi-regularly.
It's been many a moon.
Yeah,
I pop into the messenger every now and then, but
yeah,
things happen. I'm good though. I'm good. I'm glad to be talking
good.
to y'all again, especially because this week's really
Are
weird
you good,
and
Luke?
crazy.
Because you were telling me you were crying earlier.
I was, but I went to the aquarium today, and that helped cheer me up a little bit.
I'm glad.
How'd that go?
It was cool. I got to pet a sea ray.
Bitch of the sea.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know any other kind of rays besides sting and manta, and it wasn't one of them. So it was just a ray.
They get a pass.
I fed him shrimp. I fed him shrimpies, and he let me pet his flipper, and that was pretty cool.
Were they live shrimp?
No, I'm not touching a live shrimp and giving it to him. That's horrifying.
A dead shrimp.
Yeah, it was a dead shrimp, of course.
Okay.
I saw some seahorses. I saw some saw sharks, and I even saw some poison dart frogs.
Aww.
Yeah.
Some cutie little guys.
Also very.
Yeah, and then I had a big old seafood lunch, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Penance
I
for
just
their
fucking
crime.
chowed down. Exactly, I ate it in front of them.
Nice.
Anyway, what about y'all?
Yeah.
How are y'all doing?
How are you doing?
I spent the last 2 days actually really sick.
Oh man.
Just kind of getting over the. Yeah, I was like running a fever. I couldn't keep anything down. I was throwing it up. My chest is like really sore. Like when I cough, I can feel it deep in my lungs.
Ooh.
Just feels like super achy. I feel a lot better. I was able to get the fever broke. I'm holding down food. Yeah, I don't know what it was, man. It just lasted like 24. Well, a little longer than a day. So I don't know, about 30 something hours. I still feel kind of like weak and tired from it, but I mean, I feel a lot better than what I did. So,
right,
that's good. I'm glad.
That's good.
I'm sorry to hear you're sick.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna tell you though, the fever dreams were wild.
Oh fuck.
They were wild. I hate fever dreams, dude, but like these fever dreams were like really revealing. It was bizarre. It's weird. You get put in an almost like trip-like state when you're having a fever dream because they're so vivid. I don't know. It was just bizarre. It was really weird. Yeah. Other than that, though, I'm doing all right.
Okay.
Good. Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what's the topic of discussion tonight, boys?
Okay.
What do we got going on?
Oh yeah, and I'm doing fine, by the way. Things are maintaining. Life is lifing. Paid off my credit card today. That's sad, but I get paid Friday, so that'll make me happy.
Nice. Well, hey, congrats for paying it off.
Yeah, I am. I guess a minor side note before we get into the video game shit. My original Halloween costume plans, basically got thrown into the shitter on Monday. So I bought in lieu of like the $60+ that I now get a refund from Etsy on, I bought a $22 costume from GameStop.
Nice.
Which, if it
All
if
right,
it
very cool.
if it gets here in a reasonable amount of time, I will show you all what it is, and you might get a laugh out of it. You won't expect it. I will tell you that it is red, and that's it. It's red and familiar. Um, but getting into these topics, so we haven't talked video games in some time, and there's been a fair amount of video game news.
Oh boy, oh
Okay, I'm
boy.
trying to decide which one to start with. I guess we'll start with what literally came out earlier today. We got some so recently, I believe earlier in the month we got news that CDPR has like 6 concurrent new games in development, 5 of which
Right, yeah.
are Witcher and Witcher adjacent, and one of which makes me happy because it's a Cyberpunk sequel. Yay.
Yeah.
I was the only one that liked that game. Yeah, on launch. It's a lot better now, but yeah, just wait till
Which game?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
The game broken beyond belief.
Yeah, wait till Phantom Liberty drops or like the Ultimate Edition, and then just for next gen, just then get that one, and it should be fine. But we got a bunch of Witcher news, and so the first confirmation is what was it? Lupus Majoris. Like they all have different code names. So we got an announcement that bringing a remake of Witcher 1 on Unreal. And so they're also switching to Unreal Engine 5, which is good because it'll speed up production. We're getting a new Witcher trilogy.
Yeah.
But one of the newest confirmations, yeah, we're getting a Witcher 1 remake. And you two love the Witcher 3. And
Yes.
I like The Witcher 3 a lot, and I have a very big fascination with The Witcher in general, just from like going through the books and reading it all.
Yeah.
And that's
I've never
because of
played
me.
the first game. Yes, and that's because of Luke. I've never played the first 2 games, mostly because I've been told that the first game does not hold up. But
No, it doesn't.
So
No,
I'm
but it's
interested in a
hilarious,
remake.
though.
Yeah, I'm interested in a remake, if only because I know like a lot of the devs from Witcher 2 and 3 are working on it
Yep.
with this new production company. It's like Fool's Theory, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So they kind of they're working in partnership with that other studio to bring a full remaster of The Witcher 3, and it's a free upgrade on both console and PC. So if you already own it, then you get a free upgrade, which is pretty cool. So
Hell yeah!
I'm more interested to see now. See, they say that they're not introducing new content, but I doubt that's the case. I think that they will end up introducing some new content, whether it's a small story DLC, even there's been rumors of like a lot of like canceled quests that they had to completely cut out for the base game are being like remade and finished up and reintroduced. So I think either way, we are going to get some new stuff. So which is cool because some of the best things about The Witcher 3 come from random side quests.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite stuff actually in The Witcher 3 are the side quests. Just a lot of these small character interactions. Some of them are very intricate and sometimes can play a larger part in the story than what you think. I mean, something that happens really early in the game from a small side quest can somehow impact 30 40 hours later, you're like it'll be brought up again. It's like, oh, holy shit, that was like, so long ago. And I thought that quest was really minuscule. I think like, I don't know, I'm just really
Cyberpunk
interested
does
because I
that,
played through
actually.
The Witcher 3. Yeah, Cyberpunk, yeah, you're right. But I think what is really interesting too about The Witcher 3, and what I'm interested in, because I played through it 3 times now. I played through it once on console, and then I played through it twice on PC. Um, and I've enjoyed the hell out of it, like more and more. Actually, I love the game more and more because I find new things every time I play it, which is crazy. And Luke, did you ever go back and play the DLCs?
I have. So
Okay.
I started.
So
So I finished I finished the there were 3, right? Or were there 2?
Two. There were two.
Yeah, so I finished the first one, which was really good. Really liked it.
Hearts of Stone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hearts of
that
Stone.
one's phenomenal.
Blood and Wine I started. I stopped like halfway through, but I'll probably get back to it. I have a really weird relationship with Witcher 3 where like I put it down for a bit, but then I pick it back up and I just go through it again. And it's cool because not many games I think hold my attention enough to where I can jump back into it and be like, "Oh yeah, this is still fun." Like so and that was the cool thing with Witcher 3 was like the DLCs themselves were like way bigger than you would expect for like story DLC. Like they were almost like full games themselves.
That's what I've heard. Especially like here's the weird thing. I own Witcher 3 and like started playing through it, but I don't know what it is. I keep having to like go back to it, but I don't get because it's not just you. Like one of my best friends from college really loved the game. She's like, "Oh my god, it's so good." And I'm just like, I don't get sucked in. But ironically, I booted up Cyberpunk. I was on that shit like every couple of weeks or so. I go back to it. Like, I'm still in it.
Yeah.
It's the first game I ever had a wife in, so I'm like, okay, there's clearly something that me and then the Witcher fandom is connecting with how CDPR like does their narratives because it's certainly not the gameplay, but so
Sure.
it's, like the gameplay's not bad by any
I would even go. Yeah, I would argue, Will, the same thing is literally like Witcher 3. There's nothing really even phenomenal, I would say, is with the gameplay of Witcher 3.
Yeah, no, that's
I think it's really just a combination of like the actual environments,
right.
Exploration, and just like the way that quest lines are kind of laid out.
Right.
That makes it. So I'm not going to say the gameplay is bad. I'm going to say that you're willing to put up with it for the game.
Yeah,
around
it's
it.
it's simple. I don't have any complaints about the gameplay from The Witcher 3. It's like I never had complaints about it while I played it. So that's the one thing. So
I have a whole host of complaints.
well, you've
but
beaten it.
that's
So
neither here nor there.
you've seen more than I've seen.
Yeah, I can love something and still hate parts of it, but that's neither here nor there. I do want to say, because again, like I said, I've never played the first one.
Yeah.
So my sole hope is literally just that I'm willing to bet that the series got as big as it did just because CD Projekt has always been really good at setting up quest lines and stuff and actually being able to get sucked into the environments. Witcher 3 already looks incredible. So I can only imagine what an Unreal Engine 5 version of that world would look like.
5 is fucking bazonkers. Like it's gorgeous.
My only other So my only thing outside of that would be I'm very curious if they're going to like modernize the gameplay to kind of fit Witcher 3 cuz Luke, my question is, does gameplay change that much between the titles?
Between 1 and 2, yes. There's a big leap in gameplay style. Between 2 and 3, I would say yes. I would say 3 just makes a lot of improvements and streamlines it because the gameplay in 2 is a little clunkier, it's a little more stiff, there's not as many fighting mechanics and options, but it's essentially the same. The backbone is still there. I think what I'm two big takeaways that I'm most interested in these next Witcher projects, really, because I am so fascinated with Hearts of Stone as a DLC, and because how it could have been its own game. I think the villain Gontar O'Dim is like one of the best video game villains in all of video games. I think he was incredible.
Cool.
He's pretty fucking cool because I think it's the mystery behind him because you don't know what he is. You know, and Geralt,
right.
Geralt just straight up asks him on several occasions, like, "What the fuck are you? Are you a god? Are you a demon? Are you what like what are you? You're?" He even says, like, "I know you're not human. You're not a sorcerer," because at first he thought he was a sorcerer. But he's like he doesn't know. He's been around for ages. He's been called many things. There's many clues actually. So I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of interesting Easter eggs in the game that hint at him being either God or the devil. So they keep it intentionally vague. And by the way, which ending did you get for Hearts of Stone?
Fuck, what did I get? It was a while ago. I'm trying to remember. So from what I remember, the guy, like, his life was spared. I remember that.
Okay, so that's
I was able to save the
Ol-
guy.
Yeah, so Olgierd. So you basically have to solve the riddle.
Right.
Yeah, so that's considered like the good ending. Depending on
Okay.
who you ask, if you take the neutral stance, you basically let Gaunter kill Olgierd von Everec. But if you do that, Gaunter will actually grant you perks in the game, and he gives you
Right.
options. He'll and if you haven't beat the base game, he'll even give you hints as to where and how to find Ciri. Which is
Okay,
interesting.
that's
Which is
interesting.
interesting. Which is really interesting. So you can choose to actually play that deal. If you go back today and start the game over, you can just start Hearts of Stone. And if you get that ending, like Gaunter will basically tell you how to get there and then what to do after you find her. Which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah, so the devs really thought that out.
Yeah.
Not a lot of game developers would have done that.
I'll say this about like CDPR.
Yeah. Needless to say, this all just
their DLC be fucking hitting, bro. I don't like their main plots relatively like normal, but or even like pretty well investing at. Like I give them credit. Like I got pretty emotionally invested in Cyberpunk, and I imagine if I actually dedicated more time to Witcher, which I am going to eventually go back to. I'll probably feel the same, but their DLCs be fucking slapping. I don't know what it is that they're putting in those with those side teams writing wise, but the shit like it don't miss.
They have this like very distinct knowledge of like what players like want more of.
Yeah.
And they deliver on it. Like they basically, it's like you have the full Thanksgiving dinner and you're like, oh man, I'm full. And the DLC comes in and it's actually a fucking second course. And you're like, I can't eat all of this. And they shove it into your mouth and say, shut up. Eat it.
Exactly. Because those two DLCs for The Witcher 3 are like a combined, if you want to complete everything, that's another 40 to 50 hours.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's just like it's
and like
man.
It's a whole ass game.
So, like, does Cyberpunk have like DLC stuff? Like, have they done?
Like so originally they announced several quote unquote DLCs, but most recently when they made, I think they just had their press junket a few weeks ago. They basically said that they're only doing one. They're doing one major DLC?
Yeah, Phantom Liberty is supposed to be coming out next year, and that's the really big one, which I believe, hopefully, I know they announced as part of their press junket, we'll finally be getting fucking New Game Plus. Like, of all the things the game doesn't have, it doesn't have a fucking New Game Plus. That is something that I still like.
It still doesn't
have a new game. It has like patches, upgrades, alternate costumes for like Johnny Silverhand. It has post content for like Edge Runners. You know, it has new like DLC missions that have come with the patches, which is cool. New cars, new apartment buildings, things like that. It doesn't have New Game Plus. I don't know. It's not that hard. You just take the old shit and it carries over to the new save. I want to do a new
one of the most frustrating things.
So silly.
I was going to say one of the most frustrating things about the game is that you could not change your
and
looks.
they have it fixed up now where you can what's it called? Transmog. They finally have transmog in it. So you can like have your armor, but then your main outfit like look different. Like I have transmog on my character.
Thank God, dude, because that really annoyed the piss out of me. Because if you wanted like really high stats in your armor, your character just looked goofy as fuck.
Yeah, transmog is finally in the game. I think you can do full care. Not all the way it was pitched.
I really wish they would put a third person mode.
I wish they would too. It's modders have done it. It functions wonky because it's essentially an extension of first person. So, but they have third person view in it, like natively when you ride vehicles, and and when you do photo mode. So it's
no. According to some of the devs early on in the game, they were planning to do a split third and first. They wanted to give you the option, but they cut the third person mode
so
out.
that's why it's only halfway in there. So it's you can access it in like photos and riding vehicles, but the minute you hop off a vehicle, back to first person.
Well, the good news is though is that they've been very supportive of the modding community, and modders are making the PC version of the game so much better in a much shorter amount of time than CD has been able to achieve.
It's impressively weird. They have flying cars, flying vehicles.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, one of the big features that was just missing from the game was flying cars, because like I was watching this one YouTuber was reviewing the flying car mod, and he was like, "Look how much value that this adds to the game. Like it just makes." He even said that flying the car handles better in flying mode than it does driving.
Yeah, and I've seen footage of, since I'm on console, so I don't have access to it, but I've seen a lot of that footage. They have the rail that's literally in like the not taxi, the railway system. That's in like Edge Runners, and that was in all the old promo. So the modding community made that, and it functions. If you're in the base game, even with all the mods, it still doesn't have it yet, which is a shame. So I'm hoping that for the sequel, especially with, I think all of the new CD projects are going to be running on UE5. So without them having to natively basically go ground up from their own engine, I think it's going to cut down a lot of especially because like the new Witcher trilogy, it's all going to be running not only off the same engine, but like the same resources. So I think they're looking at like 2-year gaps between each one for that trilogy whenever it starts coming out. Like I think the earliest we'll get is maybe 2027 is maybe when we'll get one of the first games out of these like.
Yeah, because I'm seriously at a point where I would much rather wait.
We're gonna be waiting a while.
Wait until the game is done. Just like to be honest with you, dude, I feel like Cyberpunk really should not have been released until this year.
And I say that as someone that loves the game.
Another.
I would have rather they taken the extra year to get to like when I talk to people about the game, I'm like, now is an okay place to start. And even then I'd be like either on PC or what is now current gen console. And I play it on a PS4.
Yeah.
I play on it.
Some people were really mad that they announced they were switching to Unreal Engine 5.
It makes everything so much easier. And they're saving money.
Because it's for the simple fact that Red Engine 4 is a damn good engine, and I agree with that. However, it is still riddled with fucking bugs. And I will say this much: Unreal Engine 5 is the best engine on the market right now. I don't care what anybody says. Unity is probably the second best in comparison, but nothing can beat Unreal Engine 5 right now. I mean, not with all of its amazing new features, like like Nanite, for example. There's other really good features, and it's streamlined. You don't even have to know coding to make a game on Unreal
and also
Engine
the
5.
deal with UE5 too about like you don't have to start basically paying them until like your budget.
Fees. Unreal Engine 5 basically is free without fees until you hit your first
and
million.
then after that, isn't it just like what, a 15% residual or whatever?
Something like that. But who cares? You've made over $1 million.
And it's nothing which again, that's gonna give fuck, god damn it. Who makes
indie studios like a big advantage.
It's gonna make things a lot smoother, I think, for studios coming down the road. But even for like VFX teams too, like because it's not just gonna be video game companies, but movie studios are gonna be like the basis I have is seeing the footage from about a year or so ago from the Sony conference where they showed the Matrix, and I'm like, the only way I could really tell the difference was like the eyes, and then my eyes adjusted to realize it was VFX. But I'm like, it's damn good, and it's only going to get better as people like improve the
Yeah.
technology. So I'm just like, this is going to streamline so much game production, like that in Unity. Like Unity is a really strong engine. Don't get me wrong, but UE5 is next level. I feel like that's going to be industry standard, especially with that whole billion upfront.
Dude, I really think that the next Witcher and Cyberpunk games are going to be beautiful on Unreal
If they
Engine
let
5.
those
I
teams
really do.
fucking breathe. If they
Yeah.
let them do what they do at the which I think they learned their lesson after how shitball sideways Cyberpunk went. I think CDP, like, I got nervous when they said they're announcing like 6 new projects. So I thought it was basically like, starting this year, we're getting a
What?
game every 2 years. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But no, it's like from when they start, they have 6 set that are all in they're also opening 2 more studios. I believe one in Toronto and one in Chicago. One's in One's in
Oh, no
Canada and one's
shit.
in the US. So they're
Okay.
opening 2 Western North American studios. They're teaming up with other companies for some of the other spin-off games. And then
Finally.
from when yeah, because one of those Witcher spin-offs is being I believe produced by another company. But basically from when they start putting out games, there's going to be like a couple years from there. So they haven't really started production on they're in pre-production, I think, on the new Witcher trilogy and maybe in like the Witcher remake, sort of. But we're probably not going to see anything from that new trilogy for, I would say, at minimum 4 years. Like, we will probably, if we get it, I'm guessing 2028, 2026, maybe like a proper announcement. But I think they're gonna be basically like nose in the grass, like hard in the paint. Like, I think they're trying to wrap up Cyberpunk between now and 2023 and then go gung ho into these Witcher things. And that Cyberpunk team, I think, is just gonna be what it is. No, and we probably won't.
Yeah.
I probably won't see a sequel to that until, honestly, probably 2030. Unfortunately, it'll probably be like years.
Right.
I don't see it being like soon. But the CD stuff aside, we got a couple other gaming things. Alpha Luke, do we want to do Silent Hill or do we want to do RE make? RE news. Which one would you prefer?
Well, one sec. Luke
Yes.
based.
Yes.
Which do you have a bigger interest in?
To be honest with you,
Between
both,
the two.
Both, but I have more of a positive reaction, I think, for Silent Hill.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
you wanna talk? You
Okay.
wanna start there then?
Why don't?
Yeah, I mean,
let's just do
just
Silent
give
Hill then.
I'll just give my initial impressions.
Okay.
I think after years and years of fans, I would say the entire fandom waiting for any whisper of news, especially after the fiasco with Hideo Kojima and the separation from him and Konami. I think that this is a breath of fresh air because we finally have like an insight as to what their plans are for future projects. I think that Konami is full steam ahead with Silent Hill. Not only did we get gaming news, but they announced like, hey, we're making a movie too. Like, we are rebooting the
Wait, they
movie
are?
franchise, which is
that.
cool, which I'm hoping. Yes. Yeah, we are getting a movie along with it, and I think the movie is going to be canon to the games, or to at least one of the games. It's going to be...
No, don't say that. All right,
That's
I'm
just what I
sorry. Keep
read.
going.
That's just
Keep
what
going.
Okay. To
Tell
be
me
fair,
where you read that, and I will
me-
go check that because
let-
that makes no sense. But regardless,
Okay, let me
regardless.
reiterate. I don't think. Okay,
Okay.
I think what I was reading. Let me see if I can pull up the article. What I was reading, I think that Konami was implying that it was going to be canon to. I don't know if it's to the newer video games or if it's just like if it's supposed to be like an adaptation of one of the older games. Let
It
me let,
is.
let me go back and reread that.
It's
Anyways,
supposed to be Silent Hill 2.
okay. Okay.
Because the story behind that movie is that that's the movie Christoph Gans, the director of the first Silent Hill movie, that's what he originally wanted to do, Silent Hill 2.
Okay, so what happened?
Powers that be convinced them you probably should set up the town first, so you should probably do an adaptation of the first game. And they went, okay. And so they just did an adaptation of the first game. And this was all to set up the Silent Hill 2 movie, which never happened, because then we just got Revelation like 8 years later or whatever the fuck, and it was awful, horrible.
And Revelation had nothing to do with the first movie, right?
No, it did. It was
Oh, it
supposed to be a
did.
continuation.
Oh, okay. See, I don't even remember those
What
movies.
the fuck?
Well, that's fine. They're not really worth remembering, but
Right.
anyway, keep going with what you were saying,
Um,
because I was interested, and I have my own things to
wait
add on
a
top.
minute.
Okay,
Side note
okay.
about
Well,
what Luke was talking about.
okay.
A sequel to the first film was announced to be in early development, referred to as Return to Silent Hill, with Gans returning to direct, and the film being based on Silent Hill 2. So, Luke, literally what you were talking about, I guess, will be what we're getting. Finally, after all this time, we're
Okay.
getting that thing that he initially set up.
Okay.
So
Right.
Gans is coming
Okay.
back.
There you
Good,
go.
good, good. I mean, that's good to hear. And then I was also going to add, I think it's exciting too that they are engaging with the community. I think that the idea of having the community decide in one of the games what's going to be canon and what's not is kind of cool. Like we as the gamers as a community get to vote and decide how a story is going to turn out is a pretty cool idea. I think that, to be honest with you, I think more game studios should at least consider this for certain games and certain franchises. For example, for as big and as massive as like an Assassin's Creed franchise is, there are a billion gamer critics on YouTube and Twitch that have a million different opinions on how the fuck to improve upon Assassin's
Right.
Creed and make it what it should be. And I think that doing polls and doing votes and Ubisoft being actively engaged with their community and actually listening to us, I think would benefit everybody involved. I think that is a great and fantastic idea that Konami's doing.
A surprising one too, given it's
Mhm.
Konami.
It's surprising. It really is surprising, but I think that it is something new for them, and it's exciting. I'm not exactly sure whose idea it was, but I have to kind of applaud them. I think it's something that we should see more of, and I hope that it works. Yeah, I just like the idea of an interactive story. That is just really fucking neat to me. And then what was the other announcement? The other Silent Hill
We
announcement?
got
It
Silent
was
Hill 2 remake, and then we have Silent Hill F.
Right.
okay.
F.
Which
F
one's
was
F?
the one with the
That
the
was the
spider lilies.
flower.
Okay, yeah, the spider. That one is supposed to be, I think, a new. That's like a new
I
story,
believe
right?
That's like from what I heard, from what I've been reading, that's supposed to be like the next like mainline
yes.
Silent Hill game.
Yeah, it's the next mainline game.
Okay, after remake, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Well, remake is just
It's
2.
remake of 2.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Remake
Silent
is
Hill
2.
F. It's a new mainline game developed by Studio New Bards. Creative contribution from writer Ryukishi07, character designer Kara, and producer Motoi Okamoto. It's a story set in Japan during the Showa period, and it's being written by Ryukishi07, who wrote the When They Cry visual novel series.
Right.
That's
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
for
And
my
then
money personally. I'm sorry. Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
no,
going.
you're fine. You're fine. Anyways, and then I was gonna say, I think that, and then okay, which one's after F?
You talk about release?
There was also
Yeah.
Townfall.
I didn't see the one for Town. I actually
Right.
just now heard about Townfall. Also Ascension. I didn't hear about Ascension and Townfall.
Well, Ascension was the pick a thing
Oh,
that
okay.
Luke was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So
The
what?
pick a
So what was the
story.
other one then that you just mentioned?
Townfall. It was
okay,
it's being developed. It's being developed by No Code and Annapurna.
That's right.
It is essentially, like, from what I can tell, it's a bunch of short stories set within Silent Hill.
Yeah. It's an anthology like series. That is the one I was going to mention. That is freaking cool. I think an expansion to the lore and the universe is much needed. And this is just, to me, I think for them and for us, it's a complete revival of the series and franchise. And they're adding to the lore. They're making the community involved. I think this is a great thing. Honestly, I am actually really excited. Anyways, that's just my thoughts. You guys can talk about it. And then we can move on to.
I mean, I'm gonna let
Ari.
Luke probably take the larger bit of Silent Hill, since I'm a little. It's one of the franchise I'm a little out the loop.
Are you? I was about to say, are you sure there's nothing you want to say? Because I'm going to talk a while, and I'm going to talk a lot.
I will let you have the floor for Silent Hill, because I feel like the real conversation is probably going to be once we get to Bayo. Because like character action, that's my jam.
Okay.
But
so,
horror survival,
Luke,
I will let you have that. Go for it.
Yeah, and I got a lot to say about Bayo as well. But okay, Luke, I understand everything of where you're coming from. I too am honestly, at the very least, happy that the series that I like is not dead. That being said, there were some things that were said during that little Silent Hill Direct or whatever it was called that was a little weird and a little worrying to me.
Okay.
But so here's my big takeaway at the moment. 4 games are coming out. One of them has to be good. There's no way that like they're making 4 games and they're all going to suck. Like, one of them is bound to be okay. I'm putting money on Silent Hill F being that one. But I'm just going to talk from the perspective of a fan, because I've been in this place before. They had a whole celebration for Silent Hill in one year. And it was that year that we got Silent Hill Revelation, the horrible movie.
Yeah.
We got Silent Hill Downpour, the god-awful video game. And we got Silent Hill Book of Memories, the way-forward dungeon crawler that is as dumb as it sounds and is as tone-deaf as it sounds. So we've been in this position before where Konami has greenlit a bunch of projects and none of them worked. We're still, even though it's been like, I think, practically almost 10 years at this point, we're still fresh in our minds the fucking PT debacle. That whole fiasco.
Yeah.
That was like back in 2014, wasn't it?
That's man, what a bad. Even I remember the craze over PT and just the downfall of hype, how it just got killed. It's like Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima doing a Silent Hit, and it's dead. Fuck. Oh.
Right. Now, from what I can tell, even with PT in general, like those were complications that were brewing for a while. And PT, unfortunately, died because of it. Unfortunately, Metal Gear also died from it, but that was always kind of going to be the case without
Konami
Kojima,
can't keep the franchise,
that's neither here nor there.
No.
And I think the central reason for that is that Konami no longer develops games. Konami publishes games. Konami will find people that want to make games and will just let them do it.
Gachapons now.
That's pretty much
slot machines and arcade.
They also make skateboards.
That's
and
all they do.
merchandise.
Pachinko machines.
Yeah, and you can get Silent Hill skateboards now, which is something that they're very
Skating
big on.
games.
But now, so here's the thing. Konami is a very
Yes.
weird company. Just in terms of their practices, in terms of how they handle things. A lot of the Silent Hill sequels that we got, Downpour included, Homecoming included, were developers kind of coming up and saying, hey, we really like Silent Hill. We have this cool idea. And Konami just goes, fuck it, whatever. Here's a pittance. Go make it. And it sucks. So
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. The only reason that these games are happening is because of that aforementioned movie that Luke was talking about. Christoph Gans came to them and said, I really would like to make a Silent Hill 2 movie. Can I please fucking make the movie? And the Konami devs were like, huh, yeah, I guess people still like Silent Hill because no one shuts the fuck up about it. I guess we better make some games, huh? And so a lot of these were basically searching out developers to help make these games. Now, admittedly, they've got some good developers to kind of work with. No Code on Townfall, they make really good horror games. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the prospect of potentially working with other indie devs to make like short stories and just short little snippets with Silent Hill. I think that's a really cool idea. Silent Hill F has a very interesting concept. 1960s Showa era Japan is a very politically turbulent time frame in that country's history. It is also based on the trailer itself. There's a YouTuber called the Gaming Muse, and they do really cool stuff. And they did like a whole analysis of that trailer, which I thought was really cool. So I'm just gonna plug them there, just because I thought they were really cool. It seems like that game is going to be about child death, children dying, and the fallout, potentially the fallout from that, or potentially the political turmoil that's like potentially causing this sort of infection of spider lilies and of death to kind of like blossom through this town. It doesn't seem to take place in Silent Hill, but that's fine. I really don't care about that. There's going to be fans out there that are upset about that, but I really don't give a shit, because even 3 and 4 played with the notion of the things not happening in Silent Hill. So I don't give a shit. As long as it's scary, as long as it's cool.
As long as it's good.
The main two, yeah, it's an interesting concept. I'm really down with it. That trailer was spooky. It felt like Silent Hill. The main thing I want to talk about, though, is Silent Hill 2 Remake. I have a lot to say about it. Especially because all we have is the teaser trailer. So obviously there is going to be a lot to talk about, because there's there's no gameplay, nothing. And yet people are nitpicking the shit out of it, which even to an extent I don't really think is fair. But the biggest thing is that Bloober Team is the one that is handling a lot of the development with it. Now, they have Masahiro Ito-san, who was the creature designer and art director for Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3, which is cool. That is a really cool guy to get back on. Do you have Akira Yamaoka, who is the music director? That is also really cool. Apparently, he's just doing a completely new soundtrack, which is awesome. I'm sure it's going to sound great. The biggest thing that I've kind of noticed with the trailer itself, with some of the framing and everything, and this is my biggest problem with Bloober Team. Bloober Team is a very cinematic kind of developer. They really like going for the artsy kind of cinematics in their games. The Medium is kind of a big example of this. They like having the cool shots. They like having these very big expressions of emotion. A lot of Silent Hill 2's story is very much developed in the way that the environment reflects the characters' mental states, and the way that the monsters are kind of reflecting what those characters are going through. It is a very deeply personal story about guilt, about death, about sex, and ultimately about what we do to ourselves and how abuse kind of shapes us. Bloober Team made a game where the big takeaway seemed to be trying to understand the mindset of child abusers and pedophiles, and also this concept that the mentally damaged are beyond saving, and that ultimately they are more of a harm to the world around them than they can be
That's
a benefit.
ambitious.
I don't think they intended to say those things, but their storytelling left it at that point. Their storytelling left it there. The biggest benefit I can think of is that Silent Hill 2 story is already written for them. It's already, they just have to retell it. They don't
we
have
don't
to
have
add
a writer
anything.
confirmed for
If
the
they
game.
do
yet, it
add
seems.
anything,
Director, producer, designer, developer, all that.
right?
But don't have a writer yet. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka being back is a really cool thing. I think for me personally, my biggest regret is that they could not get the Silent Hill 2 writer and director, Hiroyuki Owaku, and who was the other one? Hang on. The writer was Owaku, and I think the director was Sato.
I can pull.
Give me 1 second. Japanese names are always... Japanese names for me are sometimes hard to remember.
Owaku of the original Silent Hill 2.
Right. So the writer was Owaku, and the director...
Tsuboyama.
Masashi Tsuboyama. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Hiroyuki Owaku and someone Sato wrote the original Silent Hill 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I'll probably look it up in a second. But they understood like these very deep concepts because games just didn't do that in the past. Games just didn't fucking do these kinds of stories. A lot of like these very deep and personal stories that we're getting in horror games comes down like almost entirely to fucking Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 introducing these concepts. So I'm worried because what little I've seen of the trailer, James is almost like flashing red lights on the screen. I am sad. I am guilty. Like in all these fucking scenes that I see. And I think it's literally just because Bloober Team likes to heighten emotions during this stuff. And it's not a bad thing for their games. I'm going to say right off the bat, I don't think Silent Hill is as subtle as people make it out to be. There is literally nurses with shiny heads that look like used condoms. It is not... It is on the nose a lot of the time, but it's the way that these things are presented, and it's the way that this sort of imagery is presented like in game rather than in cinematics that makes things that much more personal and that much more emotional. That is my biggest concern right now. Even if they redo the combat, I don't give a shit because Silent Hill 2 is a really cool game except for the parts where it's supposed to be a game, because actually playing Silent Hill 2 sucks. But the combat's just not fun. But the game's not about the combat, so it's fine. If they want to reinvent it to make it a little easier, I'm totally okay with that, because it's a lot better than just standing in front of a monstrosity and whacking it with a stick over and over. But that's just kind of where I'm standing with it.
In regards to 2, which and I watched the trailer for it. I thought it was it was interesting as somebody that's very much an outsider to the franchise and don't really know of it, of like cultural osmosis.
Sure, yeah.
Between the announcement of the adaptation of 2 from Gons and the remake of 2 as a game, which do you think is more interesting, and which do you think might like do better? Because Gons is returning to direct and write return to Silent Hill. So for his adaptation of 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
remake, hands down. I am of the firm opinion that Gon's movie is not going to make money because I don't think the
don't
first one
think it
made
did
that much
either.
money anyway. I don't think the mainstream audiences really care about Silent Hill anymore. The boat has long since passed on making a Silent Hill 2 movie.
But I mean, I guess we're
Yep.
gonna get it. So hopefully,
But
it's not trash.
yeah, we're gonna get it. Some of the stuff that they showed, like the storyboards and everything, did seem kind of interesting. But it also seemed like it was taking a lot from the first movie, which was a lot of visual
Right.
style over substance. Which is fine. Just fine. It at least wasn't dog shit like Revelation. Like actual fucking dog shit. But
I'm just surprised in 2022 that they announced a movie rather than a streaming
I think
series.
they saw how the Resident
I am
Evil
too.
series and the Resident Evil movie did and said, fuck, lesser of two evils.
Well, yeah, so I mean the thing is literally like they saw how Resident Evil remakes
Right.
were, and their whole thing was,
What if we did that with our second game? Skip right
fucking-
past the first one.
Yeah, what if we Yeah, exactly. What if we did that with 2? Because that's the only one people talk about.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm
which
also
is fair.
clamoring for
Silent Hill 1 is still great.
I'm
but
clamoring for a Devil May
yeah,
Cry
I
2
understand.
remake like yesterday.
I'm still
So
waiting
am
for
I.
a Code
I'll agree
Veronica
with you.
remake.
I'm also waiting for a Zero remake.
Well-
Fuck. God.
Well, you'll be. Yeah, I was gonna say, Luke and Will, you'll be happy to know that they have no plans right now for a Code Veronica remake. But if the interest is there, they will consider
I think
it.
Luke, you and I talked about it very briefly when the right before the remake for 4 was announced. I think we both said we'd be down for like a Code Veronica remake, just especially because isn't it a midquel? If I recall.
So it was originally
Yeah.
supposed to be Silent Hill 3. I'm sorry, it was originally supposed to be Resident Evil 3. And Resident Evil 3 was supposed to be the spin-off. Things happen, a lot of behind the scenes shit, where basically the spin-off became Resident Evil 3 and Code
Yeah.
Veronica became the spin-off.
Then like
Which is good and bad because Code Veronica, if that was Resident Evil 3, I can definitely see history being way different because there are some problems with that game.
Yeah, that's the timeline where Devil May Cry
And
1 was Resident Evil 4. So I guess that's that time with Tony Redgrave.
well,
Can I ask
Yeah,
a question?
sure.
Do we really need an RE4 remake?
And we can get into that right now.
So I would have said
I
a
was
long
with
time
you.
ago no.
I just don't think. Well, RE4 is not that
just
old
got a
of
remaster,
of a game to me.
a VR port.
It's not.
However,
Right, but oh, wait. Yeah, one sec. Before we do move on, I do want to point out because I didn't talk about Ascension at all. Silent Hill Ascension, that is. Okay, so from what I've read, the reason I'm not excited about that game at all is because I don't think it's even a game.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
From what I've been seeing, it's apparently so. It's very hard to get a straight answer from
an
anyone on
interactive
what this
media
game is, or what this
experience.
project is, I should say. Yes. So I'm imagining it's something like Twitch plays Silent Hill, and based on what they were saying, and in terms of things like you decide the canon of Silent Hill, I don't think that has anything to do with like actual canon of Silent Hill. I think that is them just using words to describe a product without really knowing what the product is at this moment.
I see.
If I were willing to put any kind of money down, because this is coming from Bad Robot Games, which is James what's his name?
It's sort of a
Bad
J.J.
Robot, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Because this is J.J. Abrams' company. I'm willing to bet that this is a game that will take forever to come out
I'm
and will
guessing that it's
come and
probably
go
like
as a wet fart.
what's it called? A AR game, or at best. One of those.
Yes, something like that. Yes, that is what I'm imagining. So I don't even know if I would consider it a game
It's a
because it doesn't
vibe.
sound like it's a game.
It's
But
it's
it's
a
a
vibration.
feeling in your heart. Yeah. It's a vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I wanted to
So
say
I
about
guess-
Silent Hill Ascension. Just
Okay.
that is the one I'm least excited about because
it's
I
a
don't even know what it is. I at least know what everything else is. I
you
don't
really
know what that
feel
is.
like you're Silent Hill with this one.
You feel like you're ascending. And it's also Dead by
Yeah,
Daylight creator, so I
it's
really
fine.
don't give a shit. But
Scooting
anyway,
over to, I guess, to the other horror franchise. So we got pretty
Resident
good.
Evil.
Because did we get also news about like DLC for 8 as well? But we got gameplay for RE4 remake, and then the DLC for 8 that's what was announced, I believe.
So 8 was shown first, and we got a little bit of look at third-person mode.
Yes.
A little bit more explanation in regards to mercenaries with Chris, Heisenberg, and Big Booba, as I call her. Which looks fun. So third-person mode for RE8 definitely looks cool. Like, I will replay the fuck out of that game for third-person mode because it actually looks like more than just a camera shift. Like, it is actually like a new way to experience that game. Kind of like Resident Evil 4 VR.
So I think Luke, you and I were on the same page when RE4 remake was like getting rumored. It was a little bit after 8 dropped, and it's been floating around the rumor mill for a long time. We basically got confirmation from when that massive game title leak dropped, like that data leak happened. And everyone was very much like, why? Including me. And I'm like, dude, we just got like a remaster months back. And I'm just like, I am very much of the mindset like, if it ain't broke, fix it at a later date. Last of Us Part 1. Horizon Zero Dawn. Jesus fucking, I'm not even gonna get into that. Don't even get me. God. But it's like, all right, don't get me wrong. I wasn't opposed to the concept. I'm like, yeah, but Zero and Code Veronica and DMC 1 and 2. Like, we have so many other things that we need to touch before that.
Sure,
but I guess they're trying to go up that wall. Shit. You'd be better off doing a remake of Resident Evil 1 for modern consoles. And that one hasn't aged badly.
I would say I would be against that. I would say because I think we already have a really good remake of Resident Evil 1.
But again, it's like it's not that it's a case where it's something Aaron has said before about like certain film plot lines. Does the remake kind of justify its own existence? And I think the big worry is basically, will you fuck it up if you do it? But given how the trailer looks and the fan reception, and Luke, you have a little bit more insight as somebody that's played it. But I watched the trailer. I'm just like, okay, it looks good. But I think the thing that everyone was worried about is like, is the tone going to be right, since it's supposed to be more in line with the remake series of games than the original was, where it was a little bit more like willingly campy.
Sure.
But they still have, like in this one, he still has his quips here and there that you can hear. I believe you can still suplex too. Like he remember, he blocks a chain from the knife.
We also know. Yeah, we also know from people that have played the game that the bingo line is still.
Yeah, I heard that. All he has to mention is that darn dog, I guess, is what other people want. There goes that dog.
Right. It's that dog. Huey. Yeah, it's Huey. Anyway, I was gonna let Luke talk a little bit because I know that y'all have your misgivings. For once,
No,
I
no,
would be the optimist in the
I don't.
room, so I
When
kind
the
of want to hear
trailer dropped,
y'all's
I'm like,
thoughts
oh,
first.
okay. And when I saw that the fans were on board, I'm like, okay, cool. It's just definitely something that I don't think it's exactly necessary on like the things to prioritize. I feel like money could have been used better,
Sure.
but it's not. It doesn't feel like a waste after seeing this trailer and seeing more.
That's kind of the boat that I'm in. I mean, I'm not terribly
Yeah,
cynical about it. I'm still very much in the camp of like I think it's almost needless. But at the
Sure.
same time, I mean, it looks pretty, right? I mean, it looks like RE4 just HD. I can see the fucking blood textures better, I guess. Like I I don't know. The gameplay style looks a little bit closer to the more
yes.
recent Resident Evil games. And I was also gonna. We have to mention too, guys. RE Village just got
Yeah.
a bunch of
He
DLC stuff,
Luke lightly
Yeah.
touched on him.
I was
which
I
is
was I was tr-
So,
I was trying to talk about it a little bit, and then y'all
I'm
just everyone just wants to talk about 4.
no. I'm sorry because like I was I
we're
was
talking
actually gonna
about
bring
both.
that up because I actually really. Well, hold on. I was going to say, for RE Village, I think it's a really cool thing
Just
that
cyberpunk.
they added third person mode. That's something I wanted for 7 and 8 originally. In fact, I think moving forward, I think it would be best for them just to release the game
Mhm.
with both features. So it gives the player
That
the
would be
option of
cool.
playing in first or third. I would have much preferred that for the last two games, and I don't know why they
Mhm.
didn't do that. I think that
Well,
they heard enough of the fans wanting a third person mode for
Yeah.
Village, and so
I,
they gave it to us. Um,
right. I think the idea behind it at
no,
first,
no, go
and
ahead.
I'll
Go
let
ahead.
you go, Will. I'm sorry. Um well, I'm just saying from the perspective, I think 7 and 8 were
Yeah.
built from the ground up to be in first person. That's why this third person mode's taken a bit because they have to
mhm.
actually
Mhm.
like recontextualize scenes and everything
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
third person.
right. But even like the scenes, like the cut scenes, are mostly all in first person still. So they didn't go back and
Right.
reanimate those, um,
Right.
which is fine. Which is fine. But like you can kind of tell that like the camera will shake in a kind of a weird way when it transitions from first to third. Um, I noticed like one of the scenes it straight up glitched right through Ethan's
Oops.
head, transitioning.
Oopsie
So
doop.
I'm like, okay, this is like, yeah, and it's like not quite optimized in the way that I would have wanted it. So I'm hoping for RE9, in whatever form that takes, which I think, right. I don't know if they've confirmed it, but we're basically following the same story, right? Like
I
we're
believe it's
following
supposed to
Ethan's
be
daughter
the
at
end
this
of the
point, aren't we?
Winters trilogy is what 9
There's
is. Yeah.
9
I'm
is.
guessing
So if we play as the daughter, which by the way in the DLC we do get a
Okay.
little story arc where we do play as her in third
mhm,
person, um
right.
where she goes back to the village, and a lot of it's
Mm.
featured in the mansion, which I think is pretty cool. Um
Well, it's a mental like journey for her. So it's like she's going back to the village like in her
Okay.
mind.
right, right. So I think this is I think what that is though, I think it's going to be a kind of a
Yeah.
precursor setup to the next game. Uh, if
Sure.
I
anything
think
else, I
what
think it's a bit of a teaser for the next
and
game.
so what you're speaking about,
Um,
Luke, with the
Probably.
whole third person edition, what I'm imagining is probably like Luke A said, it was probably ground up built first person because 7 and 8 are kinda soft reboots for the series after the thing.
right, but it just makes it makes me think like why transition from when you've historically been third person?
Uh,
Why transition to first person only to go back 2 games later, remake all the classics in third person? Like to be honest with you, I think
mm,
that the RE2, 3, and 4 remakes should have been given the option of first person as well. because because
Sure.
like I love the RE2 remake. I thought that game was absolutely fucking phenomenal. It was nostalgic as hell and it was beautiful. I love the gameplay, but after playing 7 and Village, I kind of wanted a first person mode, like
Yeah,
just
which I
walking
mean,
through the police station.
that'd be really cool.
You
I
know, like
guess
That would have been cool. Yeah.
it's a weird spot to be in because I guess they were basically trying to test the waters with everything new, which is why like 7 is obviously tied to the series and Umbrella and shit in its own way, but it's like it's its own little mini arc that we have with the Winters family, especially with the DLC and like the ties into Chris and everything. But at the same time, I guess it was
yeah.
yeah, for 8, it seems like an afterthought after seeing how well people respond. I think the third person in 8 is due to the positive reception of remake for 2 and 3. And because like 4 just got
Yeah.
first person VR. I think that's why now they're double dipping because they know that that fans are cool with it. I guess
Yeah, and I'm personally
yeah,
on board with
it's gonna
having a
expand
dual
production
feature.
time, but yeah.
Um, because I think some scenes are going to work great. Like, you know, if I'm exploring
Mhm,
for atmosphere, I think I want third person. If I'm in combat, I want first person. And just to have that option is fantastic. I mean,
mhm,
look how Grand Theft Auto did it. Um, because it's great. When I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, I love driving around in third person, you know, having a wider view of everything. But if I'm shooting, if I'm in combat, I want first person. I think it goes the same for Resident Evil. Um, I would love for them to go back, like revisit 2, 3, and 4, um, those remakes, and just sort of like patch them for a first person mode. I think that would be incredible because I would definitely replay those in first person. And I don't know, did you guys like? Is it just me or that third person mode in Village? Do the graphics kind of seem a little dumber,
for the
or is that just me?
In third
I was
person.
looking, and like the graphics just don't seem as crisp. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I can't honestly tell you because like I feel like on
Like I'm almost
screen like
wondering
things are
because
gonna look the same.
well, I'm almost wondering because it's in third person, you have a wider view, so there's more things in the image that are having to be rendered. I'm almost wondering if they didn't downscale some
mhm.
graphics here and there and cut some corners because
Maybe.
I noticed a difference. Even walking through tight spaces in the mansion, I'm like, this doesn't look as quite as HD, or some of these textures just look a little bit more blurry. Like there's a little more aliasing going on than what I previously remember. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I really honestly I just
I
need to
guess
get the patch
what
and replay
I'm
it. But
so I guess thinking
what?
about the future of the franchise. So we're getting remake for 4. We're probably getting 9 after this. What do you think's gonna come after so
Hmm.
what I'm wondering, if 9 is capping off the Winters kinda, saga, do you think we're getting a remake for one of the older games? And that's what I'm thinking.
We're
I'm just like,
getting a
are they
remake of
are they gonna remake
7.
fucking 5 next? Like, so I guess what I'm wondering is, are we gonna get
No,
another remake of an old game that we skipped? Or are we gonna or are they gonna make a greater effort to kind of bridge the gap with the remakes? I guess is because so far, like 7 and 8, like they
um,
obviously have, and I'm probably
Well,
9, obviously have ties to the franchise, but do you think they're gonna try and like input, we're getting closer to where like the reboot of the franchise kind of was. So
well, I mean, the thing is, like, the remakes are kind of
right.
already doing that. Like, a big thing is that they're kind of like aligning the timeline
Right.
with the
That's what I'm
tone of 7 and 8.
here here here's the thing
that's
though. Do you
partially what I'm
think we're gonna
wondering.
get a
And are they
5 and
gonna try
6
to connect
remake?
it to 7?
I okay,
I really didn't like
my
5 and 6.
okay, so here's I'm just gonna say this from my perspective. Okay, so here's two perspectives. One, I would totally not mind a 5 remake. I would be totally down with a 5 remake because I think 5 is a fun game.
It was where Chris was
where
in Africa.
Leon was in Africa?
Yeah.
Chris.
They can get
But
the
yes.
tone-
Oh,
if they
okay.
can get
Chris
the-
was in it. Okay. Yeah. See,
It's
it's
where
been
it's where
if
it's
they
where
can get the
Chris
tone for
it's where
4,
Chris
I
punched the
think
boulder.
they'll be okay to do
okay.
5.
Yeah.
If they get the tone for the 4 remake, they'll be fine
So
with 5.
But my other thinking is this. I honestly, and again, I could have total egg on my face. Like, I am saying this completely out of my ass, but just based on everything I've been seeing, I think 4 is going to be it with the remakes.
So they're going to leave 5 and 6
Probably.
alone, you think?
I think so.
Okay. So if that's the
Because
case, okay, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, like, those two were from like the HD
Right.
era of Silent Hill. I mean, I'm sorry, of Resident Evil.
Correct.
So Capcom may think that, okay, 4 is like the pinnacle of the franchise. No one really cares about 5 and 6. It might not be like economically feasible. It might not be fiscally reasonable to make remakes of those two.
Okay. So here's kind of what I'm thinking they could do, maybe even should do after 9. I would kind of like to see them go back to their roots a little bit, and not necessarily in the remake style, but I would like to see them go back to more classic characters, kind of pick
Like
up on some of
Infinite
those story
Darkness.
arcs. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of missing the, like, me as a kid, I personally love just a classic zombie shooter game that wasn't
Sure.
arcadey. Because all the zombie shooter games today are
Like
just super
a hard
arcadey in nature.
zombie shooter.
They're mostly just run and gun. Yeah, they're mostly just run and gun, shooter looter games, which is fine. That's fun.
But
I
you want a
love
horror
Left 4
game
Dead and
with
Back 4 Blood, but yeah, I want like a horror classic zombie game, and I would love to see that. Just you as a character, maybe one of the classic characters fighting the Umbrella Corp, trying to survive your way through a zombie apocalypse. I kind of want to see them go back to that, and not in the vein of a remake. I would like to see that just continue with the current storyline after the Winter Saga.
Right.
When was the last time we had even? Oh fuck!
Shit,
What was
what's the last game we
had
saw? I was
seen
about to say
Leon in?
Claire, but
RE2 remake.
it was
Yeah, I was gonna say, when was the last time we saw
Two
Claire? When
remake.
was the last time we saw Wesker?
So Claire is the main character in Silent Hill Revelations, the
Resident Evil
3DS
Revelations
and Wii U game. Yes, I'm sorry, Resident Evil.
Hey, look,
God,
they came out around. They parallel each other a
I'm
lot.
sorry.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
I know. Yeah.
But yes, Claire. So I'm sorry, Claire's not the main
Where's the last
character,
time we
but she
saw
does show up
Jill,
in Revelations too.
To RE3.
Okay.
I think that's the last.
Okay.
Jill
So
is the
we
main
haven't seen
character
Claire
in
and Jill
those
for a hot ass
Revelations.
minute. Like we at least
And I
saw
think
Chris
she was in
7 and 8, like a brick shit house.
I'm pretty sure Jill is in
Jill
6. Like, isn't Jill one of like the playable characters in 6?
Remember, it was Wesker's kid.
I thought she was. I know that she's in 5 and like a DLC.
She wasn't. She wasn't 6.
Right.
She was blonde.
So
I forgot.
maybe,
Holy shit! Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just as a thought, like, after 9, let's say RE10, let's just pick back up with Leon's story. Like where's he been at? What's he doing? Maybe let's place him and a few other characters in a classic, zombie survival game.
Cool,
I would like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Village was really intriguing from the whole. We're moving away from zombies and we're moving towards like vampires and werewolves, which I thought was cool. Which I thought was cool, right? Big mutant fucking lake monsters. it's cool. I like it. I really like the mansion. I really like, you know, Lady Dimitrescu and Heisenberg. I thought was a cool character. He was basically Nicolas Cage.
I've just heard that the
Pretty
game
I
also kind of falls off a little bit once you get
Ethan Winters.
out of the manor. Like it's pretty strong for that first section. I think it's like a little. It's not bad.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the
I'm
thing.
actually
They
gonna be
really,
They,
they
yeah, they
really
marketed the shit
marketed.
out
They
there, and
really
it
marketed
yeah,
the
it was
mansion,
good.
right?
It was good
And
looking.
the mansion, the mansion, and the vampires were only like the first act of the game. And I remember a
With
lot
like
of
the
Twitch streamers were
shit
like,
and
"What
everything
the
afterwards.
fuck?" When yeah,
well,
and it's like,
I
"What the fuck?"
well, I actually have a very distinct understanding of RE8 that maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I almost see Village as kind of like a celebration of like Silent Hill. I mean, I see Village as a celebration of Resident Evil as a whole. Because the manor is like
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Yeah,
And 3 to an extent, because
True.
Dimitrescu is walking around and stalking you.
not a single zombie in the game
You
though.
got her daughters that are like fly demons
Right, but
and
that's
shit.
fine, because, it's not the virus, it's the... Yeah, but,
Well,
like, it's the
according to
setting,
canon,
right?
according to canon though, are there currently any zombies left? Because I thought that there was like a partial cure. Or am I
There's
mistaken?
there's BOWs right now.
Right, because the society was like partially
Yeah.
restored after 6.
Yeah, there
wasn't it?
haven't really been zombies
Yeah,
since
I mean, it must have been.
6, I recall.
Right,
Well,
right. So that was leading. Yeah.
Umbrella's
So
just had really
if I
weird shit
remember
popping
right,
up since
I
then.
could have swore
I
that
mean,
like
since basically.
Well,
right.
Umbrella's not
true.
really a thing anymore. Like, Chris is technically working for like a faction of Umbrella to try to like, put a stop to like BOWs and stuff.
Wait. BOW. What do you mean?
So bioorganic weapon is like the thing
Okay.
for
Okay.
it. So that's
Gotcha.
things like Tyrant or Nemesis.
Could you
Technically
consider
the
could you consider like the Megamycete in RE Village? Like, would that be one of those?
So they consider it one, I believe, but they don't consider it like it's not the virus. It's something different. Like
I
almost
thought
like Los Plagas.
I thought that was a like I thought that was like its own like it was its own virus.
So it's not a virus. It's a fungus, right? It's a
Okay.
mold, I should say. It's a mold.
But I thought it tied back to Umbrella somehow.
It does
No.
in a very weird way.
Well, it does in a weird way, right? But isn't it like over 100 years old or something like that?
Yes, it's very old. It's
Old as
Okay.
fuck, I could say.
I think it's okay. So the Village pretty much like is I think like the first game in a while. Like it adds to the lore of the fucking series. So, what's her name? Mother Miranda was working on this thing, this mold. Oswald Spencer, what's his fucking name? Oswald Spencer or something, I think. Fucking the creator of Umbrella pretty much got inspiration to create Umbrella and for the development of bioweapons from the Megamycete, the mold. Because there's a letter from him where it's like, "My dear Miranda, thank you for teaching me. I think molds are stupid, but I found a flower that has the progenitor virus, and I think a virus is a better way to like, develop like bioorganic weapons. So I'm gonna go do that. You hang out with your mold or whatever. And out there's a fucking parasite that just infects Spanish people. We just won't talk about
that whole thing.
So, right, that whole thing. The thing that Spencer is kind of like obsessed with, but
yeah.
Bottom line, yes, the mold is its own thing, but it does tie into the broader. Basically, this version of Earth is fucked because it has mold that just creates werewolves and fucking magnetic magnetos, and you have a fucking parasite that literally just turns people into weird bug things, And then some fucking old dude was like, I'm gonna make a virus that just
How
turns
bad
people
can
into
it
fucking
be?
zombies and giant hulking monsters with fucking flamethrowers built into their arms. So it's like, this world sucks, but
Yeah.
that's Resident Evil for you.
Yeah. I guess like I don't know, to kind of wrap up my thoughts. By the way, I will have to say I really like in terms of like I think one of my favorite boss fights in RE Village was fighting Urias. I thought he was really cool.
He
Just
was
a
neat.
giant mutant werewolf. Which you can technically fight him twice, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
But like you can't really kill him the first time because like he just jumps off somewhere before you can actually
Right.
kill him.
He fucks off.
Yeah, he fucks off, which I think is interesting. But yeah, to finish my thoughts, I think it's really cool that they added some DLC. They sort of added to the lore, gave us a third person mode. I think moving forward, I am excited for RE9 and whatever shape that takes. I don't know if there's been any official announcements on it yet, but I'm sure it's in development. Um, I'm hoping like what we were talking about a minute ago, Will. Where they move to next afterwards. Oh God, again, it would just be cool for
Yeah,
them
I
to
mean,
pick up stories on
what
some of
about
these
Rebecca
OG characters
Chambers?
and
Like, I
see
think
what
that's a
they've been
prime
doing.
opportunity to do just
Kind of
the
go back to
Zero and
the
the Code Veronica remakes. Like, that's probably your safest bet. It's the ones that they haven't touched. You could fix those fucking stories and get them in line with everything else, and then like, that'll score you off for like the next 10
To be honest
years,
with you,
honestly,
I wouldn't even be opposed
especially with
to.
DLC.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be
Like
opposed to an
by the
RE1
time
remake.
if you
Honestly,
do uh if you do RE4 remake, RE9,
yeah.
Recode Veronica,
No, think
RE0, you're
about it,
set
dude.
up
I
to do
mean,
one again.
if you
And
think
then
about,
you can do 5 and like by the time you get that, we'll be like a decade out, then you could remake 5 and 6. And then you just, that'll be another 6 years, and then you can drop like the ultimate bundle of like
yeah,
Resident Evil, like the remake 0 through 10 games. 0, 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, 4 make, 5 make, 6 make, 7, 8, and 9. That's like 11 games. Jesus. Like drop a whole bundle. You got yourself set for like the next like decade and some change by
yeah.
doing that.
I just don't know. I just don't know if I don't know. Outside of like maybe doing 1 and Code Veronica, I just don't know if I'm
Not
on
now.
board for them
I'd say
doing
like do
5
Code
and 6 right
Veronica
now.
0 and then like wherever to if you
Yeah.
do a like a I guess like a remaster maybe in like Unreal in UE5.
I wouldn't even say that, dude. I would just say rebuild. I would just say rebuild
Last of
it
Us.
in more of in the vein of how Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII was rebuilt.
I mean,
You'd have to
5 and
completely
6
change the
probably.
gameplay. I would not want the original Resident Evil remade in the same gameplay style
Yeah.
as it was made years ago. Just like I would not have enjoyed Final Fantasy VII in that same gameplay
Yeah.
style. I think that it needs a complete overhaul. However, you can still keep
Yeah,
all
I
of the
mean,
main
I think
elements.
they have a tighter
But
overall
yeah,
like grasp of what they want to do. I think they have a better plan long term. I think what it is like 5 and 6 are just kind of like the rambunctious children. Like 5 with my impression is basically like what happens if 4 had fucked up. Like as far as like tone and writing, but
yeah,
luckily that game has a decent balance of that, like a good balance of that. So it worked. 5 is basically 4 if it didn't work. So if you remake 5, you just learn from what 4 did right and then hopefully what 4 remake does right. And I think you're good. But it's like, but I'm not pressing for a remake of 5 and 6. But honestly, I want them to knock the other ones out. And then maybe like fuck it, do just like do Code Veronica, do 0 remakes, and then do a multiplat. Or not multiplat, a multiplayer game. Give yourself a break, do something a little lighter, easier. Like do 9, 2 remakes, and then do a like an online game. You know? where you just like have online squads of 4, and you just like you could do your run and gun, or you could do like your looter shooter, survival horror, something like that. You and then it'll be a little bit easier,
Yeah.
give you a break, and if you and then take some time off, and then maybe do a 5 remake. And maybe in the meantime, we might get a good movie.
Well,
Or I guess we
Luke, what are your
over to
thoughts?
Bayo. RE4 remake, I'm really excited about. It looks cool. It actually looks like they're basically just doing. It almost seems like the team that is making it is looking back to almost like the original concepts for Resident Evil 4 and incorporating them into regular RE4 as well, which is kind of interesting. What else? Salazar is in the game. That's all I really wanted. Everything else can go rot. But no, everything is cool. I'm glad Krauser is in the game. I know that rumor was going for a while that he wasn't, and I always suspected it was bullshit. But he's in the game, so that's cool. And it almost seems like he's gonna have a bigger role, so that's kind of interesting. What else? I have the sneaking suspicion that Mr. X was them testing the waters of a stalker, and I almost think that like the major bosses that we're going to fight in RE4 are going to be stalkers in the zones leading up to their boss fights, which I think would be really sick. I don't have anything to back that up, but based on the general things that they've been sort of playing with, I can totally see that happening. I can definitely see Krauser being a stalker in his zone, so we'll just see what happens. But it just looks like it looks like the developers love RE4. They're just doing everything they can to bring it back. Leon can do his flip kick. Leon can do a suplex. Leon says bingo. Most importantly, Leon can fucking parry things with a knife. That's the coolest fucking thing ever. So yeah, I think also they're doing a really good job of like expanding scenes and giving you a new experience while also keeping things the same. The opening level with the house is interesting because it's an actual house and it's building up tension until you get to the zombie dude. And I like that they're not hiding the Los Plagas, because if you don't know what the Los Plagas is, where have you been? And they just don't care. So they're just gonna. I think they're playing with
How
your
do you
expectations for it,
how do you think
which
they're
I
gonna
think is cool because they kind
handle
of did that
the
with
gameplay
RE2
segments
remake.
with Ashley? Because I
I
remember that
don't
was
think
some
they're
of
going to
people's
change that
biggest
much.
complaints
I
was just
think
like
we got. Well, I think we got a sneak peek of it with the RE2
okay.
remake sections with Sherry. I think that they might do something similar to that, where it's really going to be a lot of hiding and it's going to be a lot of maneuvering around like an overpowered one-hit kill kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, also, I think
I like it.
Ashley's new design is a lot
Yeah.
better. I like the coat on
Ashley
her.
confirmed.
She looks cute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Also, yeah, Leon's design is also cool too, because it's kind of based on the original
nice.
RE4 playtest
There
demos
you
as
go.
well.
Good.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm probably
wrap up,
gonna
Bayo?
have to get going, guys.
I got you, my man.
Did you? We're about to talk about the Bayonetta
What's up?
controversy. Did you hear anything about that?
Oh God, no! I know.
Fuck.
I'm very much aware of it. I guess my 10-second quick take is that
Yes.
that whole situation is just fucked. But it's just fucked. I'll say kind of shame on everyone involved. So including the voice actress and including the studio, because I think all of them are shitbags over this fiasco. Anyways.
Anyway,
That's just
So I
me.
know you're
That's just
ready to
my
get out of here. Is there
10
anything you want
second
to
quick
plug?
take there.
Any way people can find you?
You can find me sleeping in my hidey hole because I'm tired.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to bed. No, I will say actually, real fast. We haven't announced anything official yet, but Luke and I are working on a new podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more narrative focused. Interesting ideas. We're just trying to get some concepts together, but haven't announced anything with it yet. Mostly because I don't know who would be listening to it, but definitely something that interests me and interests.
I mean,
me
whenever
wanting to create
you have
stuff. So
the announcement and everything, I am more than ready and willing to share. It is always family here. Over here, like we started this shit and
Of
did together
course.
years back. So obviously,
Yeah.
it's always going to be promoted over here.
We built this city.
Yeah. So, the 4 people listening to this
Absolutely.
right now,
So,
be on the
yeah,
lookout for that new podcast
yeah,
from
when-
us.
Yeah. Spooky
No, when it-
stuff.
Absolutely. No, I'm just messing, but yeah, no, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, anyone listening, if you guys are interested, you can follow me on Twitter at QuantumxParadox. And then, yeah, all right. So I will catch you guys later.
And now the controversial stuff falls to us.
So, in I guess from getting your perspective as well, like a particular reason, because like you've, I so you have a little bit more digging around in the VA scene, than I do. I would say just like
Okay.
like it's, and like it's something I lightly follow. Like I follow plenty of voice actors. I have probably more knowledge than the average person does. I've dabbled with it on my own projects and shit like that. I will hopefully have one I am working on soon. Fingers crossed next month. But particularly because I mean it's a little bit more like in your wheelhouse as well. Um, as far as like the voice acting shit. So with everything that went down, basically in the span of like
it went down.
3 days, all hell broke loose. So for those as we're recording this, Bayonetta 3 I believe is out now for the Nintendo Switch. But about a week ago, the original voice actor for the Western dub, is it Helena Taylor, I believe is the actress's name?
Yeah.
Put out a video that I think at the time got 2 million views, stating essentially that she was not properly compensated to return in the role of Bayonetta. She alleged that she was getting paid $4,000 to do the work, and that people should boycott the game and use the money to go towards some charities that she plugged. And then as Hideki Kamiya, who I believe is the lead on, who you may know, he's worked on Resident Evil 2, original Devil May Cry 1, Beautiful Joe, Bayonetta. So he's basically like the creator of Bayonetta. Has a notorious reputation on Twitter, evidently, that I was not privy to. But yeah. So he came out and just said, "That's a load of malarkey. Don't listen to her." And it was announced kind of soon after that Helena Taylor would be replaced with veteran, hardcore in the paint, fucking OG Jennifer Hale, who's an amazing talent. But she would be the new voice of Bayonetta. And then Helena Taylor kind of doubled down and also kind of called out Jennifer Hale. A bit of a side comment about it that seems a little bit unnecessary. I'm leaving out a lot of details because I don't have them all directly in front of me. So it's like surmising. And then from a Bloomberg article, it was revealed that Helena Taylor was maybe misrepresenting some of the facts. So the Bloomberg article alleged that the initial deal was for so side note, both Helena Taylor and uh Jennifer Hale are both members of the actors union, so SAG-AFTRA, if I recall.
Mhm. Yes.
So SAG-AFTRA standards is minimum $4,000 for as pay, I think across the board. So the 4,000 would have, by her allegations, would have basically just met that minimum for like 5 days of recording was what we were led to believe. What the what's reported from Bloomberg from what is said to be the contracts is that she would get paid 4,000 per session for 5 sessions. So that'd be $20,000 in total. And what she was allegedly seeking was a six-figure deal with, I think, a 0.1% residual off of final sales,
Mhm.
if I'm recalling correctly. And so this was about 2 days after the initial allegations and about a day and a half or so after the call out and everything. And so
Right.
a lot of people were vocally voicing their support. Even I remember my initial retaliation, like, whoa, shit. Cause like, um, and we'll get into kind of our thoughts too. I'm kind of of two minds about this because on the one hand, the ways, and I had a bit of this conversation as well with Aaron in the second half of the last episode that went up about the lack of respect that's given to voice actors, because it is a different skill set in the realm of acting. So it requires different talents. It requires being mindful of different things. So,
Right.
like, in the acting that I've done more on camera work and less voiceover work. So I'm not, I have a lot more experience in one versus the other. The other is just kind of like I do my own thing and see what works. But I've like watched documentaries, listened to God, what's the one that the Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt had a book. So I've like about halfway through that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good, very educational. But very informative. But it's a different realm. And Aaron and I were going back and forth about like the Chris Pratt thing. And him getting cast, and I was just like, did Charles Martinet get the opportunity? It feels like this is a decision that Nintendo made because Japan has a tendency to kind of go style over substance, but and they also may not have the best business practices. Like video games in general don't have the best business practices, but particularly
Right.
in the
Right.
realm of just like reimbursing talent in general, and then Japan can be kind of shrewd businessmen at certain times, and they don't
Right.
exactly fire, but they might make it difficult for you to want to stay. So knowing about the cultural aspects that can be at play with Japanese business, what Helena was saying didn't seem too far outside of that. But then when the news broke that she might have just been lying or kind of BSing and wanting more than was initially said, it throws a whole wrench into things. And the sales actually went up despite people canceling a lot of their pre-orders. So Bayonetta 3 actually might have sold better from the controversy, from some people that were kind of maybe felt that either she was throwing the game under the bus, or throwing other people that worked on the project under the bus. Like even like the bad mouthing of Jen Hale, I do agree was unnecessary. But the whole thing was a shit show that went down about a week before the game's release. Um, and yeah, here we are. So, with a very, very loose version of the story out of the way, I mean, kind of what was your impressions as it was unfolding? Because this was the first time I really started to like pay attention to a situation like when it comes to voice actor stuff, I usually try to keep an ear about, like I mentioned to Aaron, like Tara Strong still a little upset about not being Harley Quinn in the show, and you can tell. So it's just, and she spoke out about like Charles Martinet not being Mario, but like, but what was kind of your feelings and things? I guess being someone a little bit closer to that side of
Sure.
the industry.
So I'll go ahead and I'll just say, like, right off the bat, I was definitely one of the people that when that news broke out, I was, very supportive of Helena Taylor because these are
Mm,
things that happen. like a lot of the time. There's a lot of horror stories that people have, whether it's with a non-union game, whether it's with a union game, of getting like paid just not what you're owed or like not what you're worth, doing so much work for very little compensation. A lot of people that I saw that were like responding to this news and everything. I think the biggest takeaway that I kind of have is that people don't really seem to understand the way voice acting works, and the way that like sessions pay out and like what's expected of a voice actor whenever they land a gig.
Yeah.
Besides the point, I pretty much sided with Helena. I was like, yeah, if this is bullshit, this isn't fair. And just like straight up was like on her side and just kind of going like, yeah, y'all need to do right by her. It wasn't until I realized that Jennifer Hale was the replacement that I kind of thought, wait a minute, that's kind of weird.
That was an eyebrow raise. Everyone was like, she's way more expensive. Why would they?
Right.
What kind of like spit in the face is that?
Right. So here's the thing. Jennifer Hale is like the fucking face of unionization in voiceover. Hale like is the one that spearheads that, and not spearheads, but like she is very vocal about that.
She's Cinderella. She's Commander. She's one of the arguably the biggest voice actress when it comes to video games, I would say.
Right. Now, here's the thing. It's not that she's more expensive. It's just that she goes by SAG-AFTRA's union rates. Which,
yes.
By the way, Will, I'm just going to correct you actually real quick, because this is where the situation gets a little bit...
please.
So this is where the situation gets a little bit more fucked up. It was like a media agreement that I think was like put into effect like last November. So the performer day rate for a session is $956.75 for a session.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Here's the fucked up thing. Helena Taylor was being offered 4 to 5 times that. So okay, basically, the more I learned, the more I was kind of like, oh no, did she lie? And it kind of came out like, technically she didn't lie. She just didn't tell us the whole story.
She didn't tell it the way. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Right. So the whole story is she was given the offer of $4K per session. Which, at this point, is well above SAG-AFTRA rates per session for VO.
Yeah, which is under, as you said, under 1,000. So about $950.
Right. And this is without residuals, because unionization efforts have tried to do that for voice actors, and companies will not budge on that. They will not say yes to residuals. So that's a losing battle that we're always trying to fight. But Helena Taylor apparently wrote to Kamiya and said, hey, I don't think that this is what I deserve. You know, like, I'm the main voice of the series. Can y'all do any better? And I believe Kamiya, it was revealed Kamiya came back with $5,000 per session.
Yes.
To which Jason Schreier and Bloomberg then clarified that she came back with a 6-figure number and a residuals offer for her services. Platinum said no. They wished her a good day. They got Jennifer Hale instead. But then they went back to her and said, hey, listen, we do really want you in the game, though. Like, you are Bayonetta, so would you consider doing a cameo for 4K for 1 session? That seems to be what Helena Taylor was talking about in her initial videos. She did not clarify that. She did not tell that. She made it seem like they wanted her to do that for the entire game.
Mhm.
So, bottom line is this. Kamiya also didn't handle it the best way, but that's neither here nor there.
No, yeah, like he apparently he's
someone needs
notorious for not being great. Actually, he got his Twitter, I think, got blocked.
He got blocked and then he got back on.
Yeah,
But someone needs to slap the phone out of Kamiya's hand, but that's neither here nor there. What is
yes.
here is fucking. This is a big, very messy situation that doesn't really detract from the conversation that needs to happen about video game or voiceover in general just getting fair compensation.
Right.
And there's still a long way to go in terms of getting that kind of recognition of the craft. And I think the biggest problem with it, especially with video games, is video games don't need voice acting.
Technically, no.
Right, because you
Yeah,
still have a whole other medium there, even without the
it's
voices.
it's
They
a
definitely
it's a
add to an
yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
I would even say in some cases they make what might be bad games, like Silent Hill 2, and make them better. Silent Hill 2's a lot of that game is raised up as well by its voice acting, beyond like the environments and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
is it? So
I
basically, my
can
whole thing is this.
Mhm.
I think that if Helena Taylor had maybe talked about her experience with negotiations, saying that she thinks voice actors need to get a better deal because it is a lot of work
Mhm.
for so many sessions, even when she was being paid like 5 times the usual amount, you would have to consider that she would be getting like a flat fee of 20K for one game,
Right,
which,
with no
sounds like
residuals.
a lot, but right, with no residuals, which to some people would be like, man, 20K for one game? Hot damn, I'd do that. But you have to understand, there's no guarantee when the next gig is coming. There's no guarantee about what kind of gig it'll be. There's no guarantee
Right.
about how long it's going to take. There's no guarantee about, because you can't really do other projects while you're doing one project.
Yeah. If
That's
it's, like,
kind of a
demanding all your
stipulation.
attention.
Not only that, some projects even have like stipulations that you cannot do voiceover for other projects while you're working on this one.
Oh god, fucking non-compete clauses,
And
Jesus.
that's right, non-compete clause, exactly.
Yeah.
And they have that for certain things. Not every voice acting project, but there's always that possibility that that's going to be a thing. So you have to understand, yeah, that's a lot of money for one thing, but it's never a guarantee when you're going to get the next thing. Because you also have to consider this is the only video game that Helena Taylor's really done. She's mostly done theater.
Yeah.
She
Right.
mostly works in theater. So I think it's also a perspective she doesn't quite understand the video game like voiceover industry.
Yeah, it's like
She
you're
seems
you're
to be coming at it
screwed,
from a
but
theater
it's not
perspective.
just you.
Yeah, so it's just all over the place. It's just one of those things where, goddamn, like I really wish fucking this didn't happen because I think this more than anything might potentially make it harder to talk about this subject for
Yeah.
other voice actors
And
because there's
that's the
always going to be the implication, oh, they're just greedy, like that one, the Bayonetta lady, and it's like, god damn it, and it's like I want to go on the record as saying I don't think she's greedy. I think that she is not fully in the know on how like the voiceover industry works. Um or maybe she just has different ideas about how it should work and thought that this was the best way to get that to happen. Um Either way, it's a very sticky situation. At the end of the day, I'm kind of just thinking as this as like Just got a lot more eyes on this subject. Perhaps this will bode well in the future. But that's all I really have.
Yeah.
Bayonetta 3 is coming out, I think, on Friday, actually. I think it's like October 29th.
Yeah, the 28th.
Or maybe the 28th? 28th, yeah, so it's going to be this Friday. So I wasn't going to get it regardless just because I don't really want to drop $60 on a game right now. But
It's fair.
I was definitely looking forward to it. This definitely made me second guess things for a bit. And then it came back around to me backpedaling my stance and being like, oh, wait a second. I should have waited for more stuff to come out because this doesn't look good now.
Yeah.
But regardless, learning experience. Everyone wait for news, wait for more information before jumping the gun.
And I feel to an extent there is a level of sympathy I feel for Helena Taylor, only in so much as she probably destroyed her career and blew up an NDA and probably
Yes, that is
locked herself out of an entire industry of work over $20,000. Not saying that that's not a strong amount of money. Not saying that she, but like, holy shit.
Right.
Like, I'm not, it's not like a shut up and do your voice, like shut up and, play the role and take the money. No, I get I can
shut
understand.
Up and dribble.
Yeah, it's like I understand the frustration from a talent, and I try to like, yeah, like I'm an advocate of that as well. Like I feel like if you're the talent contributing to a role, and especially if you're a legacy of that, you should be compensated. And ideally, if you return to that role, there's a little bit more money the longer you stay in it. Like there's an incentive and there's a relationship built. At the same time, one, you have to think Bayonetta's not a huge franchise in comparison to like a Call of Duty.
That was the other
even
thing
Resident
as well.
Evil.
That was the other thing as well. She was saying that the series was worth like $450 million. I have no idea where she got that number.
So in watching a video,
I would argue,
in theory, if you take every copy and re-edition and like every performance of Bayonetta that has sold, and you priced it at about $60 over the past like 10 years, like every copy, yes, mathematically you could probably get to like a little under 450, but that is different than selling enough copies amongst the two for it to be a 450. No, it's not. I can't think of any game that's a $450 million, maybe $100 million for like Call of Duty. That's like several hundred million, but I don't even know if that's 450. Pokemon, because I would say, is maybe a $450 million franchise.
Because, Will, the thing is, Bayonetta as a series, as much as I love it, is a series that was like always on the verge of dying since it was first released.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I respect the franchise.
Nintendo had to save it. Nintendo had to save too.
It's below Devil May Cry.
Yes.
And Devil May Cry is not that big.
No, it's not. I think
big.
5 sold the most. I think 5 sold the most the series had ever seen, but even then it wasn't like a shit ton.
I would say Bayonetta is between. It is above Shin Megami Tensei, but below Persona. I think Atlas is like a perfect comparison. It is between those two franchises under the same under one company. It is between them. Like it's probably more than an SMT5, but it's below Persona 5. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just gonna say. I think it's more accurate to say that Bayonetta has probably sold maybe a third of 450 million, maybe closer to a fourth.
Yeah, I will give you 80 million maybe like all together. I would maybe if I'll round up. I'll be generous. I'll give you 100 million across 2 games and re-releases and DLC and Smash and her movie. Out of all of that, I'll give you 100 million. A matter of fact, with this new game, I think you might make 50 million. I think it'll do very well. That said, you are heavily overestimating
Yes.
like it's not that you cannot aspire for greatness. It's that it is a small window. It's like it's not huge. Um
No, it's not.
and and
Um,
and and to your point earlier too about like having voices in video games, like so I'm playing through Digimon Survive right now, and it does not have a dub. And as someone that has in the past played a game that was entirely in Japanese with no translation, I played Dot Hack Link the PSP as a kid. That was a fucking experience all on its own. Um, it's a little rough here in Japanese the whole time, but with English text at the bottom. I'm playing a visual
mhm.
novel predominantly with tactical RPG elements, pretty much in Japanese. It's rough.
Mhm.
So it's like, but I can still play it, and I usually am listening to something in the background. So it's like, does it enhance the experience? Yes. It's not paramount. I've played a game that was not in a language I could read and beat it to completion. and
Right.
and post game content. Dot hack link. I've done it once. So, like to your point, the gameplay is going to come first. Like for me, the and this is no disrespect. I highly respect voice actors. It's a lot of work, especially if you're a voice actor who also does your own mocap to a degree, like a Ruben Langdon, a Yuri Lowenthal, a
Right.
Jennifer
Right.
Hale, even. You know, it's a lot of work. And like if that's part of the job too, yeah, it's a lot of shit. But I think for me and maybe for a lot of other people, it's going to be gameplay, story, talent, like, you know,
So
sound.
I I think very specifically that's what producers and higher ups are under the impression of. Not what I'm under the impression of, but that's like
Right.
what they will see it as like we don't even really need voice acting in this, you know?
Right. It's being treated as a I think they see it as almost like a necessary luxury. I do see it as a necessity. It's just in the hierarchy of what like a game with like Cyberpunk has that is a case where I was able to put up with janky gameplay because I was invested in the story and characters through the performances and talent. So you can't rule that out as as a factor of immersion. I've also played
Right.
Journey, which is just gameplay and music with light story elements. So it's a synergy. It's not a luxury to have the talent. Like I want everybody to get residuals on a game, honestly. Like the
It
developers,
would be
the producers, the talent, you know, the music people. That's the dream. That's sadly not how the world and capitalism works. Hate that, but you know, it's
right.
like yeah. So it's like I don't view it as a luxury like maybe higher ups do. It's like, meh, they don't need it. As long as they play the game and make us money, we're good. And I'm just like, no, I would prefer it. I would prefer if Digimon Survive had a fucking dub to it. It doesn't, but it is what it is now. So it's like it's not gonna stop me, but yes, it is slowing me down a little bit in terms of my like
Right.
engagement. So it's like you need a balance. And
Yeah, exactly.
it is surprising that um I guess that Platinum in a way did kind of try to keep her um more than once, might I add, which is impressive and surprising to a degree, especially knowing like Kamiya and just like I'm like
Mhm.
I don't know, there's a rumor that he's not the biggest fan of like English speakers and he'll block you if you speak English.
I don't really
It,
understand what that all is, and I don't really want to get into that.
I'm not projecting anything. This is just what I've heard, and I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know, nor can I confirm, nor do I really care to. This is like Hideki Kamiya has his own controversies and shit, but yeah, it's just my long-term thing is like, one, this is probably gonna pass, but I think that the legacy of the game is unfortunately probably gonna outlive Helena Taylor's contribution to it and the controversy that was birthed from it. Unfortunately, I think there's a whole nother conversation about if boycotts to video games even work. A lot of people say no, which again is very unfortunate. But I do think we do need to continue to have a conversation about the ways that we treat the artistic talent across all metrics that contributes to like our entertainment, because it's like, our video games basically high budget toys, yeah, but immersion is a thing. And like, I like a lot, like Yuri Lowenthal is my favorite voice actor. He's in Bayonetta 3. I wouldn't want him to get shafted. But also, like, when I think Bayonetta, I think Helena Taylor. Is it going to be an adjustment to hear Jen Tail, even though I'm not getting the game, but just like associating the character? Yeah. No, it's a shame that it went down this way, but I'm hoping that people don't like petty like this, and I hope that people don't harass Helena Taylor about this for the future. But
I
it is a shame.
well, but
It is a shame she kind of committed career suicide. Like, as upset is, unless it was like borderline abuse, I probably wouldn't blow up a chunk of my career over this. I'm a little concerned about the future of her artistic endeavors if like acting is her thing, because this was an extreme. She had like, I think 3 videos after the initial one, and I'm like, fuck, sis. I would have let the first one just ride, and I think it would have worked out a little better. But god damn, it's sad. It's sad to see, and it's sad to hear.
I think ironically, this is probably going to make Bayonetta the best-selling Bayonetta game.
Yeah, like its sales actually got better, probably because of the, what they say, all press is good press. So it's like, unfortunately, the controversy spiked the sales a week out from release. Which is, that's got to be awkward. So.
But
oh boy.
At any rate, that's all I really have to say with it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Do we want to touch on I know we both have like time situations with our own lives as well, so I don't want to keep you too crazy long. So we may cut Black Adam, but I guess what we can talk about is the other bits of like DC news, and then maybe touch on Marvel stuff and skeet daddle. Probably won't take too long. So we'll bundle all of this together. I guess when Aaron gets back, him and I can dig into Black Adam because he saw it, and I told you a little bit about it beforehand. It's a fun 90s romp. Part of the news, I guess, ties into a spoiler, but whatever, side note. So 2 big bits of news came out of DC Studios now. One is that Henry Cavill will be returning as a Superman in whatever future projects they have. He officially confirmed it, I believe, yesterday. So I guess negotiations went through. And as of, I believe, Monday, James Gunn and Peter Safran, who is a co-producer, I believe, on Suicide Squad, Aquaman, and Black Adam, so James Gunn and Peter Safran are the new heads of DC Studios. They're going to be co-chairs. I think Rock is actually going to be in an advisor position. He said he was in that until they found the new heads, and he's going to do anything to make this as successful as possible. I'm just like, fuck, it's okay. Thanks for that. Okay. It's like seeing if like Barack Obama had like fucking Hulk Hogan is a correspondent, or like as a consult.
Sure.
Like, oh God, what is the Pillsbury Doughboy think about this? It's like asking Ja Rule for his opinion. And you can, but
There you go. Exactly.
why would you? I guess it's we don't have like I mean, yeah, Black Adam, it's a fun time at the movies. I would say you call your buddies up, say, "Hey, you want to get some beers, grab some snacks and watch Black Adam?" Sure, why not? Make a party out of it. Like, I think it's fun in that regard. I am still very much irritated that people keep wanting him to fight Superman just because The Rock wants to fight Superman. He's a fucking Shazam villain. Let him fight Shazam. But it's just whatever. Dr. Fate, everybody looked cool. Third act has issues. They didn't bother me, but it does have issues. But no, I was entertained by it. And like the post credit scene did surprise me. It has, it's fun. It's a fun little movie. Didn't go in expecting much. I left pleasantly entertained. So it's like the best way I can describe it with my mom apparently being the only person on the planet that watches Pennyworth. She told me she watched all 3 seasons and said, "Oh, it's good." I'm like, "I'm gonna take your word for it." That left it at that.
I'll believe it. That's fine.
It's just like if my mom likes she likes what she likes. She likes action movies, so she loves Marvel. She loves DC products for the most part. Weirdly enough, not a huge Star Wars fan. Oddly enough, not a huge Power Rangers fan, but she likes Marvel and DC. So I'm like, if I feel like my mom is entertained by it, then cool. Then it's in a good place. So the whole time I'm like, my mom would like this. That's the best way to describe it. Your mom would probably enjoy it. The Rock is buff. He punched the people. The CGI fight happened. Save day win. I did get some unintended laughs too. Like there's a scene where he crashes to the earth and like the sparks are shooting around him from the not vibranium that he gets shot with. And the uncle in the movie goes, "Don't touch him. He's made of lightning." And I'm like, I don't know why. Silly ass joke. He got a legitimate laugh out of me. So I guess, Wizard Shazam, he is made of lightning. But yeah. How do you feel about Cavill being back? Because I have thoughts, but how do you feel about it? You were DC Luke for a time.
He seems happy, so I'm happy. I was DC Luke because I like DC Comics. I don't really read comics anymore, and
it's a lot.
Or at the very least, there's a couple that I don't read. Or there's a lot, I should say, I don't read anymore. I've been reading Moon Knight. Moon Knight's been fun.
I've heard good things about the recent.
And I'll pick up a Hellboy comic every now and then when one comes out, but that's pretty much the extent at the moment. Yeah, I never really minded Cavill. I minded the direction of him, but I never really minded him. I actually do have a question because I'm kind of weirded out by this. Apparently, Snyder fans don't want Cavill back. Is that correct?
I think what it is they don't want Cavill back without Snyder because they're crazy.
Why though?
Because they want the restore the Snyderverse shit, Luke. We have to have the person that I would argue doesn't understand Superman to come back and do Superman. Like
wait.
All due respect for the life of me, I don't understand the love for Man of Steel. I thought it was good enough and have come around to it being fine. As I have kind of conversed with friend of the show Cole, who I think has infinitely better understanding of that character. And Superman and Lois has blown me out of the water with an extremely good representation of Superman. Where he's just a cool ass guy.
So do they not like Aquaman then? Or do they not like the Flash then? Or the Wonder Woman stuff?
I think if it's not Snyder, they don't want it. I think they want his full plan with they want him to finish his vision. That's what they've been clamoring
Okay.
for. And it's like, dude, he's working on Rebel Moon 1 and 2. Like, just go watch the Star Wars knockoff when it hits Netflix next year. Like, he's done. Let him be relinquished from this. Here's my thing, and I tell this to Aaron all the time. Zack Snyder will be forever doomed as a filmmaker because he's eternally set to be a TV series director, and he keeps fighting his fate, and I don't know why. Like, he'd just be better at it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was one thing where fucking there was one thing I think I was reading about where it was like, I lost my train of thought. Point is, I'm glad he seems happy. He seems like he wants to be back. He's possibly going to be in some good hands with some people that are willing to give him, that are willing to like work with him in a capacity where he can be happy. Not to say that he wasn't happy with Snyder, but this is just another chance for him to work on that thing.
Yeah,
especially considering the direction that everything else has kind of been going.
It seems like Snyder's, at least from what I've seen in articles, like Snyder's happy for him.
Yeah,
I'm kind of on the fence with it because there are like moments in Man of Steel and BVS and even both Justice Leagues where I'm like, oh wow, he feels like Superman, he looks the part, but then it like fades out of my mind rapidly. So it hasn't, weirdly enough, even though I don't like, I have such mixed feelings about the DCEU creates such like chaos within my spirit.
it's a wild ride.
It started like Shazam is my favorite Superman movie because it's great and it's just a nice family movie. He's awesome. He's a cool guy. He's the best. he's the coolest kid. He gave all his family superpowers. He's a cool ass dude. But like I got that like heartwarming sensation and safety that I felt I should have got from Superman. Then I watched Superman and Lois, which I'm like, the cast does not look how I would expect Superman and Lois to look in my ideal headspace. However, the writing and the performances embody those characters to a T. They're awesome. I just finished Superman and Lois season 2. They're very, very good. I have yet to really get that and it stick with. First of all, Lois Lane's hair has forever been fucked up. It bothered me. It's bothered me for almost a decade. Please fix it if she comes back. With Cavill, like when he showed, spoiler for Black Adam that everybody knows, he shows up at the end of Black Adam in a cameo. And he looks good. The colors are like more saturated in a good way. Like you see the yellow and it doesn't look like mustard piss. The blue is shiny. There is red in his suit. And he has even the little curl in his hair like he's fucking supposed to. So, and he seems, when I was pleasantly surprised. Even though I kind of had an inkling beforehand and got spoiled by fucking Wikipedia, I'm like, wow, he feels a little bit closer. And so I'm willing to give him the chance to be the Superman that he should have been over a decade ago. Like I want him to prove to me that he can be good. So it's just like I'm kind of on it because my favorite Superman right now is on the CW of all fucking places. A sentence I never thought I would say. But like near the end of Superman and Lois 2, like there's a scene where there's a part near the tail end where he loses his superpowers. He gets thrown to the sun because his power. It's the whole thing. Bizarro World is involved. Like they're really interesting stories. But he's like, I don't have powers. I'm still Superman. And even Lois is like, you got to do what you got to do. So there's like a town hall meeting. Their dog and Lena is like the mayor and shit. And everyone's like, she's a liar. Yeah, Superman's going to save us. And he shows up in the super suit and is like, no, she's not lying. I don't have my powers. So we have to come together. And I'm just like, yeah, this is like this is a guy who, even when he doesn't have any fucking powers, still gets people to believe in him. Like, that's fucking Superman. You know, he's like, fuck the powers. I'm still gonna make us work together and believe there's a chance. Like, that's Superman. I'm not even a Superman fan. I'm like, that made me feel warm. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I think Smallville's gonna get through this. Like, and I want that I want Cavill to have kids looking up to him. Not grown at, like, I don't want people to have to argue that he's a good Superman.
Yeah.
I just want it to be like, he's a good Superman. I want that for him.
Yeah, just let the man play Superman.
Yeah, like, let him,
Jeez.
you know, like, I don't want it to be like, I don't like the cynical Superman type thing where, you know, we live in a cynical world. I'm just like, as someone that is low key a professional optimist, like, my job on a regular basis to make people like work through their shit, and like, even with the person I'm dating, they're like, why do you have to be so optimistic all the time? Like, because most of my friends have depression, so one of us has to try. Like, that's the person I kind of want to look up to, like a flying person who's like, hey, look, shit is tough. I know it's tough, but like, it can be okay. Like, he's supposed to be like a flying bear hug, or when the chips are down and shit gets tough. Like, you can be like, hey, this guy makes me feel good. He feels like a weighted blanket. I feel safe with him around. But like, my thing is, weirdly enough, when I was talking with Cole, he's like, "Hey, how would you feel if James Gunn did a Superman movie? What do you think that would be like?" I'm like, "It'd be fucking weird, but weirdly wholesome." And then, like, 2 days later, the news dropped about him being in the chair, and I'm like, "Well, guess what you said is coming true, bro." But I mean,
There you go.
who would you want to see? I guess is like writing and directing. What I'm guessing will be the Man of Tomorrow movie. Please God, can we get Brainiac in the fucking movie? Jesus Christ,
Oh
Supergirl and
God.
Brainiac in that shit. Come on, do it. Just fucking do it.
I can't even really think of like who I would want to direct it even. I can only really think of like what I would want to see.
What do you want to see?
And like I'm not even of the mind that like what am I thinking? I'm not even of the mind that like Superman has to be like eternally like sunshine and everything like that. I just
Right.
think that there's more interesting stories that you can do rather than just he's a god amongst people. And he can't comprehend us, or he chooses to live among us despite his strengths. I just think there's more interesting things you can do with that,
Yeah.
or with him. And I definitely think of all the characters that you could potentially use.
Mm.
Brainiac is potentially the one that you can really explore just these concepts of. Basically, I want a movie that will take what came before with Man of Steel, because I don't want that stuff to like go away. I want there to be like a
Build.
follow-up to that stuff, like something that builds on top of that. I think Brainiac is definitely a good idea, if only because it gives us a glimpse at potentially what maybe Clark sees as his alien side, what he also might see as his human side, and potentially coming to a conclusion about the two and where he exists in the universe, where he exists in the world, and more importantly, because Brainiac's whole thing is literally like collection of knowledge
Right.
and stagnation of knowledge, stagnation of experience. He wants everything to be held under his control so that he can study it at his own pace. And Superman could basically be a nice idea of like showing how we can move forward from the concepts of Man of Steel and Justice League into a new version of this character that learns and adapts and grows outside of the control of like any one basically outside of like his own control of his own existence. Basically, I'm describing fucking Man of Tomorrow, that animated movie or whatever it was
God,
called.
I really love Man of Tomorrow. I love that movie.
It's a really good movie. It's a really
Yeah,
good Superman movie.
Yeah, I'm just like
It's
this.
horribly violent for some reason.
Shit,
but
God, Parasite is fucking people up left and right. But yeah, by the end, I'm
Yeah.
just like it has an even really good use of Martian Manhunter. But like, I love the climax where it's just like, you know what he does? He talk no jutsus him to the win. But the thing is, that's something that Superman would do. Like, the easiest theme
Yeah.
of what to do, not only as a follow-up, was like, I mean, Man of Tomorrow even makes sense with Brainiac being like futuristic technology and shit like that. But you just the theme is emotion versus logic. That's it.
Yeah.
Like the cold
It's
like you can't be like, and even if you do that, if you have Supergirl in that, you like imagine her being like all rageful because she runs into the guy, like the entity that probably killed her family. If
you can
if it's the same backstory in through
right.
Flashpoint and
You
shit, but
could
it's like, and
you could
Supes is the
even
balance.
do a I mean, you could even do a cool thing, kind of like the Injustice game, where like Supergirl comes to Earth and Brainiac kind of follows behind her.
Yeah,
I think that could be some interesting. That could be interesting stuff.
yeah.
I think the problem now, though, is that we exist in a world where Wonder Woman exists,
I mean, the
and I
timeline
don't see a reason why she
is
wouldn't.
fucked.
Yeah, so man, but I mean, at this point, like, does it even really fucking matter? Like,
It's so
just
far gone. I don't. It's actually a weird case where it's like you have fucked it up so much, it kind of doesn't matter anymore.
make it Brainiac puts fucking Metropolis in a fucking bottle or whatever. Who
I mean,
cares?
that could be
Like,
the plot, is like Brainiac's trying to put Metropolis in a bottle and destroy the Earth in the process. And Supes has to,
right.
which that'd be really interesting to see how Superman basically has to talk him into being like remember that episode of Justice League United where Amazo blitzes through the entire Justice League and gets just to kill Lex Luthor, and he basically has to talk his way out of not getting killed by the Adaptoid space robot. It's actually really cool. So do that.
It is a good episode.
Do that, but Superman and Brainiac. Like he fucks up everybody else, including Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Like, it could be a really big thing. It could be a really big event. He's about to fuck shit up, and then he gets to Supes, and then Supes realizes, wait, using my fists is not gonna work. I have to kind of appeal to the way that he understands and interprets information and outsmart him. It's not enough to punch the big. This isn't Doomsday. I cannot sonic punch him to the death. I got to use my thinking parts. And I am still my father's son.
You could even do it.
Scientist, Jor-El.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely do a thing where Brainiac is like just an AI, and
Right.
you can't just beat up an AI.
Yeah, as science has shown, I am
right. So it might even be a thing where you could even literally just be like, Brainiac says like, hey, I'm going to collect you, but I will give you this last thing. I'll bring all of Metropolis with you. You can have the life you always wanted. And it'll be like preserved forever. And let's just have a thing where Superman kind of decides like, the perfect life doesn't exist. Like, unpredictability is what makes living worth it. What makes our lives like worth kind of moving forward. Like, your pursuit of knowledge is robbing people of agency and all that. And I don't know, just do something interesting. Don't just make fucking Superman punching Doomsday or Zod or whatever.
Yeah,
just do something cool, like with Superman, because he deserves it.
I can give Cavill a chance to be good, and then I can determine if he's a wooden actor or not when he has a decent script. Like, I can see a lot of easy ways to go that plot. It's like, essentially like, I'm collecting these cities to study them in stagnation. The whole thing is like, well, humans cannot be stagnant in order to be studied properly. It's not like you're viewing us as single-celled and we're multi-celled. Like, we need to adapt and evolve and grow, but also inevitably die in order to become greater. And then how I could see it ending is just like Brainiac leaves, but he's like, okay, but I'm leaving something here to like study how things evolve. Like, you won't know what it's like to be human by watching humans. You can only understand what it's like to be human when you've walked amongst them, which Superman would know,
There you go.
but Brainiac wouldn't. And then you get Brainiac 5, who is,
Yeah, there you
and so
go.
it's like, it doesn't end in conflict, it ends in uh conversation. And then Brainiac 5 is like, he gets introduced at the end and works his shit out with Supergirl. And, it's how Brainiac studies things. So it's like Brainiac just goes back into the stars and is like, huh, I have a lot of shit to learn. And then there you go. And then you can set up a
Yeah,
third movie. It's Man of, you know, 1,000 Suns or whatever the fuck or something like that. I don't know. Superboy, blah, blah, blah. Played by fucking Zac Efron or some shit. I don't know. It's like, boy, that'd be a weird casting decision. I fucked myself up with that one. Yeah, it's just like, there, we gave you your Man of Tomorrow movie. It's very, very easy to do. Let Kevin Smith write it. Why not? He's hopeful.
yeah.
Well,
Why
I wouldn't
not?
mind that. Or at least being like a
Why not?
why not? But
I don't care anymore at this rate.
and it,
Just give Superman something.
yeah, do something good. Like, it's not hard to do something good. Was Man of Tomorrow, the animated version, did it great. It's not hard. I'm not a Superman fan. I can write you a Superman movie. I'm a cynical person about Superman. I can write you a Superman movie pretty easily. Give you a whole treatment and shit. It's not hard to do. Give you your own
There you go.
fights and then have it end in a pleasant way. People be like, "Oh, it's just like the anime Man of Tomorrow." Okay, but it's yeah, because it fucking worked. Not that hard to do.
Yeah, it works.
He's a nice guy who flies around and helps people, surrounded by assholes. It's a simple concept. But how do we feel about Gunn and Safran running DC films? I mean, good for them. He's a Gunn has made like the
Yeah.
weirdest U-turn, I think. Not U-turn, but like the most intriguing turn in terms of a career. Oh shit, Aaron's here. The most intriguing turn with like career, because Gunn started way back, working for what was it, Trawl? What was the fucking name of the studio? You know the one I'm talking about.
I can't remember.
Yes.
There you go.
There he goes. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, working for Troma. Now he's going to be a co-CEO of DC Studios, which is nuts. Like, that's one of the biggest come-ups ever. Optimistic, cautiously optimistic, mostly because they still have to report to Zaslav versus like Kevin Feige having to report to the Disney higher-ups, who I'm pretty sure they just let him do whatever the fuck he wants. I think Zaslav is like, we have a plan for DC films, and everybody is scared because of his decisions with WB Discovery Now. I'm not worried about Gunn and Safran. I'm more worried about what mandates Zaslav is going to put in place, which could potentially fuck up our Man of Steel sequel.
I mean, it's better than nothing at this point. It's better than just fucking canceling projects left and right. Like, at least they got somebody.
Just fucking release Batgirl, please. It couldn't have been that bad.
Do you think if Gunn had been head before that got canceled, do you think he would have tried to save it?
I think he would have tried to save it, honestly. James Gunn showed up in the Harley Quinn show with Batgirl in it. I think he would have given it a shot. I wonder if he'll try to. Oh no, they deleted the files. That movie is gone.
Yeah, they totally like scorched earth that movie,
which is like yeah. Apparently, most directors have to ask for like a copy of their projects a lot that's apparently that's an issue with like a lot of streaming properties. It's like some director I remember hearing about. The only reason she has like there's no whole media release of the show that she worked on yet. So the only reason she has it is because she asked for a copy of it, and right afterwards it got canceled and it got purged. So she's the only one with like an existing
Right.
copy of what she worked on as evidence. I'm like, holy fuck, Jesus.
Well, Will, listen here. You listen to me good.
Yes.
It's been great talking with you about all this stuff. It's been
Yes.
great talking about DC's comeuppance. It's been great talking about Silent Hill and Resident Evil and Bayonetta and CD Projekt Red and not talking about Black Adam. But I gotta go to bed, man.
I totally
It's been
understand.
great talking to you. And it's been great hanging out.
been good
But it is also 11. It's past the time I'm usually in bed.
I
So
understand.
I gotta hit the hay.
Anything you want to plug? Aaron, do you want to tag in here?
Anything I want to
Yeah, you showed it right on
yeah,
time.
there you go. I was gonna say
what you're saying
I
is it's
passed the
great
baton
timing
to
for me to
you,
show
Aaron.
up.
Yes.
You carry on in my stead. You carry my torch.
But
I did all the heavy lifting with the video game crap,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you'll be fine with Guardians and Ant-Man and shit.
yeah.
So, what do I want to plug? I have a Twitter, LukeAlphonso at LukeAlphonsoVA. I have a website just called LukeAlphonsoVO.com. If you want to check that out, because I got some cool things on there,
I'll plug them.
and I got a cool resume and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I do have a YouTube. I don't really like sharing
Well,
it
goodness it
because
is.
I'm in the process of reworking it
Wow.
and thinking about what I'm gonna put on there. I don't know. I like just doing stupid things. I used to think that they weren't worth putting up, but you make your own content when the jobs are scarce. So I'll
True.
probably just start putting stuff on there. So I'll do my best. So at any rate, yeah, catch me on that stuff. If any more Silent Hill news comes out, I will definitely demand that we talk about it, and I'll force myself onto a podcast.
I would love to have you for it. Maybe when the movie
Yeah,
drops.
and if any, of course, yes, of course, when the movie drops, we'll definitely talk about when the movie drops. Oh, that fucking movie. But anyway,
I do have one.
I'll catch y'all later.
I do have one minor thing I'm curious about before you dip out, though. Do you have any feelings towards either the last Ari movie or the Ari Netflix series? I'm not talking about Infinite Darkness. You know exactly what I'm talking. I'm talking about Albert Wesker Blade. That one.
So I actually saw the last movie.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome to Raccoon City, I think it was.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Wasn't that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, not great. That's all you can really say about it. Not great. I know about the Netflix series. I haven't seen anything of the Netflix series, and I don't think I'm going to watch the Netflix series. So that's all that you kind of need from there. I love these series, but I'm not gonna watch everything it puts out because I know shit when I see it. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, all right then. On that note, I relinquish you, and here we tag in Aaron.
All right. Like I said, just whenever you need me to talk about video game shit, just give me a call and I'll do all that.
Yeah, don't you worry.
I know y'all are movie bros. So
No, but I like talking about video games too. I don't get to talk about them too much here. I just got No More Heroes 3 and haven't opened it yet.
All right, I'm out.